Chapter 22. The two stood 10 steps away from each other and started accumulating their power. After a few breaths, Lu Hanshan's face was covered in a dense purple mist. No one knew what kind of martial art he had been practicing. He let out a deep growl, then suddenly rushed towards Lu Wuxiang while launching a palm attack with his right hand. Before he arrived, his power had already arrived, and a light ripple appeared in the air. Lu Wuxiang had a serious look on his face. He stomped on the ground and cracked it, then darted out like a bolt of lightning and launched a palm attack against Lu Hanshan's. Boom! A transparent stream of air spread out in all directions, sending the tables and chairs flying. At the same time, the two figures separated and shot backwards. Yi Xian was shocked. She didn't expect that a fight between two late condensing reality realm martial artists would be so powerful. Even the heavy red sandalwood tables and chairs were blown away by the force of the impact. Ji Xuan was only one step away from the late condensing reality realm, so she wasn't too surprised. Of course, she knew that she was no match for these two. She wouldn't even be able to take one palm attack from them. The two of them tried their best to control their bodies, then simultaneously moved towards the middle of each other. Their bodies were releasing an intense fighting intent that could even be sensed from a long distance away. I don't think we need the third palm attack. If this is all you've got, the second palm attack will be enough to decide the winner. A cyan-colored stream of air rose up from Lu Wuxiang's body. This stream of air was extremely sharp. The air that came into contact with it was twisted and cut apart, making a sizzling sound. Blue murderous chi. Lu Hanshan said in a low voice. The look on his face turned even more serious. Luo Xinglie, who was sitting in the main seat, was even more nervous than Lu Hanshan. This blue murderous chi was one of the most powerful martial arts of the Emerald Martial Palace. It was a low-rank Earth Realm martial art, and had a very obvious effect on breaking the internal Jin Qi. It was only taught to the most core disciples. Even ordinary core disciples couldn't do it. Judging from the power that was showing from Lu Wuxiang's body, he had obviously reached the 8th level of the blue murderous Qi. How amazing! But how would Luo Hanshan deal with it? Lu Wuxiang said blandly, I don't think there's any need to continue. Not necessarily. Lu Hanshan took a deep breath. Suddenly, a blue vein bulged on his forehead, then a second one, a third one. Something amazing happened. His eyes turned from black to red, then from red to purple, and at last 2 purple streams of air came out of his eyes, drifting out. Purple Eye Ice Heart, the 8th level of the extreme purple art. Good job. Luo Xinglie was shocked at first, but then he was overjoyed. The other inner elders of the Sky Cloud Martial School all showed smiles on their faces. The extreme purple art was a low-rank Earth Realm martial art, divided into 9 levels, and each level was more difficult than the previous one. Before, they all thought that Luo Hanshan wouldn't be able to rival Lu Wuxiang, but now they didn't have to worry anymore. Seeing Luo Xinglie's excited face, Luo Hanshan was also very happy. Thinking about what he had been through in the past 2 years, he had been stuck at the 6th level of the purple extreme art, unable to make any progress. After that, he had lost to the current number 1 disciple, Zhu Mei, in the core disciple exam. Everyone thought that he had reached the end of his potential, and that he might not even be able to keep the number 2 disciple in the future. Now no one would suspect him. Ha! This time, it was Lu Wuxiang who attacked first. His palm, which was wrapped in cyan airflow, was violently thrown out, as if it was going to destroy the entire hall. Luo Hanshan remained calm and collected. He threw out his palm to meet the incoming attack. Different from Lu Wuxiang, when his palm attack was thrown out, it didn't even make a swooshing sound. However, wherever his palms passed through, the air suddenly started to vibrate intensely, as if it was boiling water. 2 palms collided. A few cracks appeared on the ground, and the violent power spread out in a spiral shape, shattering all the tables and chairs in the surroundings, as if they had been cut into pieces by thousands of knives. Facing the incoming sharp power, Ji Xueyan released her qi and threw out her palm in front of her body. Crackle! The incoming power was blocked by Ji Xueyan's palm, causing a series of explosive noises, which even made Ji Xueyan's face slightly pale. Fortunately, it was only the aftermath of the attack, and the power had already been reduced by 70 to 80%. Yi Xian, who was sitting next to Ji Xueyan, exclaimed, "If it weren't for you, Sister Xueyan, I would have been seriously injured by the aftermath of that attack." Ji Xueyan said, "The Cyan Great Murderous Qi is especially good at breaking internal Jin Qi, combined with the pure purple extreme arts Jin Qi. Its destructive power is extraordinary." Except for Ji Xueyan and Yi Xian, the rest of the people in the hall turned a blind eye to that fierce qi, as if there was an invisible wall in front of them, which had absorbed all of the power. Outside the hall, Yi Chen's heart was beating fast. Is this what a late condensing reality realm fight looks like? It's so intense, it's not any weaker than the top martial artists in the 21st century TV series. I wonder when I will be able to reach this level. Tap, tap, tap. Along with the explosion of qi, Lu Wuxiang's body swayed, and he took 13 steps back in a row, each step leaving a deep footprint on the ground. Luo Hanzhan took 15 steps back, and on the last step, he even broke the bricks under his feet, sinking 3 inches deep into the ground. In the end, Lu Wuxiang was slightly better than Luo Hanzhan. Throwing a complicated glance at Luo Hanzhan, Lu Wuxiang said, "I am good at palm arts after all, so this time we are even, what do you think?" Luo Hanzhan said, "Let's start the third palm attack." "No need, I have already understood your power. Although you are not as powerful as my head disciple, you have finally regained your Prince Hanshan's power." Lu Wuxiang shook his head. Luo Xinglie saw that the fight was over, so he laughed out loud and said, "The disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace are indeed worthy of their reputation, young heroes." Mu Fengyuan said, "Sorry, Leader Luo. It's nothing." Luo Xinglie was very happy. His son Luo Hanzhan had returned to the top of the martial geniuses, and he, as a father, was also proud. He grinned and said, "Hanzhan, find a seat and sit down." Luo Hanzhan nodded and said to Lu Wuxiang, "Tell Pei Wuxuang that I, Luo Hanzhan, am back." "I will." Both of them found their seats and sat down without saying anything else. Outside the hall, Yi Chen came back to his senses. He bowed to Luo Xinglie and said, "Leader, elders, disciple Yi Chen greets all of you." The head elder said blandly, "Come in." Walking into the hall, Yi Chen saw Yi Xian and Ji Xueyan, who was sitting right next to her. He knew her as well. They had met a couple of years ago. She was no longer the little girl she used to be. It was just that the world had changed, and he had basically guessed why they were here. After all, their relationship was not good enough for them to visit each other yet. Luo Xinglie calmed himself down and said seriously, "Yi Chen, do you know these two?" "Yes." Yi Chen took a deep breath. "Since it is a private matter, then you can solve it in private. What do you think?" Luo Xinglie was not in the mood to care about the personal matters of the younger generation. They were not even core disciples. "Yes." Ji Xueyan stood up. She said to Luo Xinglie and Mu Fengyuan, "Please allow me to talk to him in private." Luo Xinglie and Mu Fengyuan nodded. Walking in front of Yi Chen, Ji Xueyan said blandly, "Let's go out and talk." Yi Chen did not say anything. He just followed her out of the hall. As for Yi Xian, she hesitated for a second, but after saying goodbye to everyone, she also followed. Chapter 23. Outside the hall was a plaza paved with white marble. A screen wall was erected on the plaza. It was 33 feet tall and 24 feet wide. It was extremely grand. Beside the screen wall, Ji Xueyan looked Yi Chen up and down. After a long time, she said, "I'm here because—" Yi Chen interrupted her and said, "I know." "You know?" Ji Xueyan was a little surprised. In her impression, although he was not stupid, he was definitely not smart. But this time, he seemed to have changed. Yi Chen said self-deprecatingly, "It can't be that you're here to see me." Ji Shuyan shook her head. Of course not. Regardless of whether you've guessed it or not, I have to tell you personally that it's impossible between the two of us. So you're here to discuss the annulment of the engagement. After all, if I don't agree, it will be very troublesome for you to resolve the engagement alone. At the very least, you will have to face the dissuasion of many elders, especially since you won't be able to face my mother. She treats you very well and is like a sister to your mother. If we both agree, those elders won't be able to say anything. Ji Shuyan opened her mouth and found that she did not know what to say. This was different from what she had imagined. She had thought that he would be very angry. No matter what, it was humiliating to have the engagement annulled by the female side. She had already prepared a way to deal with this. That was to let him know the difference in strength between the two of them. The two of them were not compatible, and continuing to be entangled would only bring humiliation to themselves. But now, these countermeasures had become useless and she was caught unprepared. Taking a deep breath, Ji Shuyan found that she had underestimated Yi Chen. At the same time, she felt a little sullen and said in a stiff tone, "You're right, but there is one thing you must remember. Even if you don't agree, I will still annul the engagement. You should have heard of the saying dragons don't cohabit with snakes. The two of us are not people of the same world. I still have a long way to go in the future, and the gap between us will only grow bigger." Dragons don't cohabit with snakes. Yi Chen chuckled and said, "What a good metaphor. You think of yourself as a true dragon, and I as a little snake. However, it's too early for you to make a metaphor. It's not certain who is the true dragon. Moreover, even a little snake has the chance to transform into a dragon." Ji Shuyan could not help but let out a cold smile. The other party was simply boasting shamelessly. Based on the current situation, it was obvious who was the real dragon and who was the little snake, but he actually said that it was uncertain who was the real dragon. Did he think that one day he could become a real dragon and soar through the heavens? All right, I'm not interested in arguing with you about the established facts. I just want to ask you one thing. Do you agree to break off the engagement? Yi Chen replied without hesitation, "Why wouldn't I agree? I agree to cancel the engagement." Yi Chen knew his potential very well. As long as he had enough time, reaching the condensing reality realm, clasping Yuan realm, or even the astral reaching realm would not be a problem for him. Why would he bother with a woman? Besides, even if he didn't agree, so what? She had even invited the inner master of the Emerald Martial Palace. If he didn't agree, he would only be humiliated. Now that he had agreed, he had turned from passive to active, and had kept his last bit of dignity. Of course, what she had given him today, he would definitely return it in the future. He wanted to let her know that whether or not she was a real dragon was not determined by words, but by actions. Both of them remained silent for a while. After a while, Ji Shuyan slightly scratched the crystal ring on her left hand with the middle finger of her right hand. A dim light flashed, and a manual suddenly appeared in her hand. Yi Chen's pupil shrank. A storage ring. A storage ring was a legendary treasure for normal people, but it was a must-have item for high-level martial artists. The inside of the ring had its own space, and could store a huge amount of items, such as gold, pellets, herbs, clothes, weapons. They could all be stored inside, and it would be weightless. He didn't expect her to have a storage ring. Among the core disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School, only 2 or 3 people had a storage ring. This is a top-rank Mortal Realm manual, Iron Bone Godly Palm. If you can learn a thing or two from it, you will be able to beat other martial artists at the same level. But don't worry, this is not a martial art from the Emerald Martial Palace. I got it from a Jianghu bandit that I killed. It will not be a threat to you. Consider it my compensation to you." Ji Shuyan slightly raised her chin, as if she had just thrown out an ordinary item. "I will take what I want myself." Yi Chen rejected without hesitation. What a joke, it was only a top-rank Mortal Realm manual, there was no need for him to sell his pride. Not to mention, if he accepted it, she would look down on him and think that he was a coward. Ji Xuyan frowned. Don't you understand? With your talent, I don't know when you will become an inner disciple. Yi Chen said coldly, You don't have to worry about canceling the engagement. I will do what I said. If there is nothing else, I will leave now. After saying that, Yi Chen turned around and walked towards the main hall. He needed to report to Luo Xinglie before he could leave. Ji Xuyan was shocked, then she sneered. She thought that Yi Chen was doing it on purpose for her to see. Otherwise, why would he let go of a top-rank Mortal Realm manual? After all, a top-rank Mortal Realm manual was not easy to find. Unfortunately, Yi Chen was just wasting his time, she would never like him. On the way, Yi Xian stopped Yi Chen. Why are you so stubborn? Just take it. Why are you so angry? Yi Xian had a lot of power in the Yi family. Before, even Yi Chen did not dare to argue with her. There are so many manuals in the Sky Cloud Martial School, there is no need. Yi Xian shook her head and said, You have changed, you have become unreasonable. I know you are feeling humiliated, but to be honest, you and Sister Xuan are not a good match. Her future husband should be someone like the four childs, not a nobody like you. Of course, I am not belittling you, a nobody also has his own way of living, you are better at living a stable life. I am being unreasonable. Never mind, Yi Chen did not want to talk to these two arrogant women anymore. Sometimes, the more reasonable your words were, the more likely they would think that you were being calculative. If you were being unreasonable, the more aggressive they would be, the better it would be. Therefore, the best way would be to ignore them. See you at the end of the year. After saying that, Yi Chen walked into the guest hall. In the hall, Mu Fengyuan glanced at Yi Chen. At least you know yourself. Ji Xuyan is one of the most talented disciples in the Emerald Martial Palace. She is indeed not compatible with you. Yi Chen cursed in his mind, Old man, it's none of your business whether I'm qualified or not. You people from the Emerald Martial Palace are all the same, arrogant, thinking that you are no longer a normal human being. Now, even Yi Xian has gotten this weird habit. One day, I will beat all of your disciples one by one. I will let you know that we are all humans, and the Emerald Martial Palace is nothing special. Although he thought so, Yi Chen would not say it out loud. Talking back to a late clasping Yuan realm martial artist, who was also an inner master of the Emerald Martial Palace, would be suicidal. Leader, I will leave now. Yi Chen bowed to Luo Xinglie. Luo Xinglie waved his hand. Since the problem is solved, you can leave now. Yes. Turning around, Yi Chen did not even look at Ji Xuyan and left without hesitation. Yi Xian, who was standing right next to Ji Xuyan, twitched her mouth. She felt a bit embarrassed. They were all disciples of the Yi family, but why was there such a huge gap between them? Ji Xuyan said softly, I hope he will not tell Aunt Hui about this. I don't think he would dare. Yi Xian said without hesitation. Chapter 24. It had been 10 days since the engagement was cancelled. In these 10 days, Yi Chen had taken the first windy dew pellet. This pellet was just like the rumors said, after taking it, all the distracting thoughts would disappear, and he would feel refreshed. It helped Yi Chen to open up all the meridians in his heart, allowing his qi to flow freely under the training of the heart fire. The heart movement and qi flow were also the fourth pure Yuan art rotation. Besides that, Yi Chen had already started training the Golden Swallow art. This Qing Gong required a lot of qi, it had to be pure and without any impurities, or else it would be very difficult to train it to the highest level. The good thing was that the qi from the pure Yuan art was unimaginably pure, and the impurities had already been removed during the second qi rotation. When he reached the fourth qi rotation, after being trained by the heart fire, his qi had gained more spirituality, which made training the Golden Swallow art much easier. These few days, my qi is getting restless, it should be a sign that I am about to break through to the mortal realm stage 7. The training speed of the pure Yuan art's fourth qi rotation is indeed amazing, but to reach the condensing reality realm is still very difficult. What can I do? To be honest, I have only been in this world for half a year, unlike other people who have been training for 4 to 5 years or even 7 to 8 years. There is no way to compare. Ever since he knew that Yi Xian had reached the early condensing reality realm, Yi Chen knew that he had to work even harder, or else he might not be able to compete with Yi Xian at the Yi family meeting. Besides Yi Xian, the second son of his uncle, Yi Tang, was not easy to deal with either. After all, he and Yi Xian were the two geniuses of the Yi family. He took out a jade bottle from his pocket, opened the cork, and a blue pellet rolled out onto Yi Chen's palm. Qi-boosting pellet, the most commonly used pellet for mortal realm warriors, it was worth more than 3,000 silvers. Right now, Yi Chen was only one step away from the mortal realm stage 7. He might be able to break through in a week, but he couldn't wait that long. He was planning to use the Qi-boosting pellet to increase his cultivation and break through to the 7th stage. This way, he could save 7 days of hard work. 7 days of hard work might not mean much to normal people, but to Yi Chen, it meant a lot. With his comprehensive ability, he could learn a high-rank mortal realm skill in 7 days. Even the top-rank mortal realm skill, the Lone Peak of 13 Swords, only took him 2 to 3 months. And that was because the Lone Peak of 13 Swords was incomplete and needed to be perfected. Otherwise, a month would have been more than enough. Therefore, these 7 days had to be saved and not wasted. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, Yi Chen flicked his finger. The blue qi replenishing pill flew into his mouth in an arc and slid down his throat into his body. Gulp! The qi replenishing pill melted the moment it came into contact with water, turning into an extremely pure vital energy. All of a sudden, the pure yuan qi rushed out of his dantian like a hungry wolf that had smelled blood. Within a few breaths, it had wrapped around the pure yuan qi from the qi replenishing pill and started to refine it. Such a powerful refining ability! If it was the cloud qi spell, the efficiency would be at least 2 times lower. The higher the quality of the qi, the faster the yuan qi could be refined. This was a well-known fact in the true spirit continent. Of course, if the total amount of qi was high, it would also help a lot in refining yuan qi. Under normal circumstances, it was not uncommon for quantity to beat quality. An hour had passed. A light popping sound came from Yi Chen's body. His dantian, which had already expanded a lot, swelled up again, like an inflated balloon. In the center of his dantian, the pure and transparent cyclone suddenly sped up, like a spiritual nebula, constantly swallowing and changing, absorbing the new internal qi. After a while, Yi Chen opened his eyes and slowly let out a breath. His face was filled with joy. He had finally reached Mortal Realm Stage 7. There was not much difference between the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 6 and Mortal Realm Stage 7, but that was only for normal people. If it was Yi Chen, even a little bit of improvement would greatly increase his fighting power, and he would be able to use more of his martial skills. Today is not a good day to continue learning the pure Yuan art. I should consolidate my cultivation first. Yi Chen knew the importance of a solid foundation. If the foundation was solid, then he could continue to improve. If the foundation was not solid enough, then he would be like a castle in the air that could collapse at any time. He might even lose his mind and become a cripple when he tried to break through. After a day, Yi Chen had completely consolidated his cultivation and had even made some progress. This qi replenishing pill could save him a month of hard work. Subtracting the 7 days he used to break through, he still had 21 days left, which was just enough for him to take another step forward. In the following days, Yi Chen took the second Windy Dew pellet and tried to break through to the 5th qi coil of the pure Yuan art. Of course, life was not like a pool of stagnant water. After the first time he met the outer disciple Wu Zongming, the two became friends. They would chat and spar with each other during their free time. Wu Zongming thought highly of himself. He thought that although Yi Chen's achievements in martial skills were high, there was still a gap between him and Wu Zongming. He did not expect that after limiting his cultivation to Mortal Realm Stage 7, Wu Zongming would be at a disadvantage in a real fight. His high-rank Mortal Realm martial skill, Burning Fist, did not seem to be able to win against Yi Chen's King Kong Fist. He did not know that Yi Chen's King Kong Fist had already reached the highest level. Under the condition of limiting his cultivation, it would be strange if the Burning Fist could win against him. There was no sun or moon in the mountains, and another half a month had passed. That night, Yi Chen applied the body-enhancing paste on his body, planning to break through to the fifth chi coil of the pure Yuan art. He wanted to combine his spirit, chi, hands, eyes, and body into one. As for applying the body-enhancing paste, it was not useless. The body was one of the 6 forces of the human body. Only when the body was strong and full of energy could it increase the success rate. Pushing his pure Yuan art chi to its limit, Yi Chen put his tongue on the roof of his mouth. His eyes focused on his nose focused on his heart, and he quickly entered the state of meditation. Walala, the outside world was silent, but inside Yi Chen's body, the sound of his chi flowing was like a small river, endless. For a warrior, the inner 3 forces of the 6 forces had almost been combined into one. For example, the spirit and chi, the first step for a warrior was to convert the spirit and chi into chi. The spirit and chi were already inseparable and could be converted at any time. The combination of the spirit and the spirit was the spirit, and with a high degree of concentration, the two could also be combined. The difficult part was how to combine the chi and the spirit, which was called the combination of the spirit and the chi. After many days of meditation, Yi Chen already had an idea. With a thought, the chi flowed along the meridians to the center of the eyebrows, where the soul resided, and the soul was the spirit. After 36 revolutions, the chi that was contaminated with the soul power returned to the dantian. Yi Chen knew he had succeeded. He had successfully combined the spirit, chi and the spirit. Next was the outer 3 forces. The outer 3 forces seemed simple, such as the eyes, the hands, and the body. But in fact, it was very shallow, and even a normal person could do it after hard training. The outer 3 forces of the pure Yuan art was to extract the 3 types of Yuan Qi from the limbs, eyes, and the center of the body. These 3 types of Yuan Qi were closely related to the 3 forces, and they could sense each other. This was the real outer 3 forces. First, he extracted the hidden Yuan Qi from the center of the body. Yi Chen did not dare to be careless, and he was very careful. The center of the body was one of the most important parts of the human body. If there was a slight mistake, the person would become paralyzed, and it would be very difficult to cure, so he could not be careless. The qi slowly seeped into the center of the body, and then it pulled out a very obscure Yuan Qi, and slowly merged with the qi. When the two completely merged, Yi Chen released the Yuan Qi that had merged with the qi back into the center of the body. Using the same method, when Yi Chen also merged the outer 3 forces with the qi, big beads of sweat dripped from his forehead, and his body was completely wet. But it was all worth it. Now that his qi contained the Yuan Qi in his limbs, eyes, and the center of the body, it also contained his spirit. In terms of reaction speed, subconscious speed, attack speed, and the sensitivity of his eyes, there was a qualitative change. Besides that, after the pure Yuan art had entered the 5th transformation, the speed of absorbing and refining Yuan Qi had reached a very impressive level. 1 day of training was basically equivalent to 3 to 4 days of training in the past. Chapter 25. Outside the boundless mountain range was a very complicated environment. There were forests, swamps, wild mountains, and endless water bodies. These days, a human figure could often be seen flying back and forth, killing beasts after beasts. My luck is not that good. None of the 13 rank 2 beasts managed to condense an inner pellet, and there were even 4 top rank 2 beasts. Yi Chen cut open the beast's body with his great steel sword, and found nothing inside. He was a bit annoyed. Ever since his pure yuan art reached the highest realm of the fifth transformation, Yi Chen knew that if he wanted to improve quickly, he would have to rely on external objects, such as the inner pellet of a beast. The inner pellet of a beast was the essence of the beast after absorbing the natural yuan qi. Theoretically, a 1-year-old inner pellet could save a warrior a year of hard work, and a 5-year-old inner pellet could save 5 years of hard work. However, it was only in theory. The inner pellet contained not only the essence of yuan qi, but also the beast qi. If a normal warrior touched a little bit of the beast qi, he would be in danger of going crazy, and if he touched too much, his body would explode. Therefore, no matter how much yuan qi essence there was in the Naiden, a normal martial artist would not be able to fully utilize it. They would have to use an evil warding potion to dissolve the demonic qi within. It would already be considered good if the remaining yuan qi was 1/5 or 1/10. If they were unlucky, the entire Naiden would be dissolved, and all their efforts would be in vain. Of course, if a warrior reached the clasping yuan realm, he could use his Zhen qi to absorb the beast qi and use the inner pellet perfectly. However, the inner pellet had to be below the clasping yuan realm, which meant that a clasping yuan realm warrior would not be able to do anything to an inner pellet that was above rank 4. The strong smell of blood attracted a lot of beasts. Yi Chen closed his eyes and used his powerful soul power to sense a powerful beast qi within 30 meters. It should be a top rank 2 beast. Shoo! His body flashed, and Yi Chen jumped into the air like a huge bird. He glided 20 meters in the air, and fiercely jumped towards a big tree. Swoosh! The big tree was cut in half, and a beast that looked like a wolf and a tiger was exposed. A top rank 2 beast, the tiger-wolf beast. Yi Chen flicked his wrist, the great steel sword turned into a bright sword light and pierced forward. It was the most powerful sword move of the lone peak of 13 swords, the peak of perfection. The tiger-wolf demonic beast did not expect Yi Chen to act so quickly. Just as it moved its body, its chest was stabbed. The injured tiger-wolf demonic beast was extremely fierce. It clawed at Yi Chen's arm. Courting death, winding road around peak. Yi Chen ignored his opponent's attack and poured his inner qi into his fine steel sword. He swung it in the opposite direction and split open the beast's chest. Then, he chopped off the beast's claws. The powerful peak grade 2 demonic beast could not even withstand 2 moves from Yi Chen. Its body went limp and it slumped to the ground. It was obvious that it would not survive. Looking at the tiger-wolf demonic beast's wound, Yi Chen's eyes lit up and he said in ecstasy, "My luck is really changing. This tiger-wolf demonic beast has an inner core in its body." Cutting open the tiger-wolf demonic beast's body, Yi Chen reached out his hand and took out an egg-sized, milky yellow inner core with a hint of pink. According to the information on the demonic beasts, once a rank 2 demonic beast had an inner core, it would have a higher chance of becoming a rank 3 demonic beast. If there was a slight change in the color of the inner core, it meant that it was not far from becoming a rank 3 demonic beast. This inner core was milky yellow with a hint of pink. It was obviously a sign that it was about to become a rank 2 demonic beast. It was much stronger than a normal rank 2 demonic beast, and judging from its size, it should have been at least a year old. A year-old inner core, even if 90% of its demonic qi and yuan qi were removed by the evil warding potion, it would still save at least a month of hard work. Not to mention this inner core that was about to become a rank 2 demonic beast, it might even double its original value, which would save at least 2 months of hard work. Looking at the inner core in his hand, Yi Chen could not control his emotions no matter how calm he was. 2 months of hard work. It would at least help him reach the late mortal realm stage 7. If he was lucky, after using the evil warding potion, the inner core would still have 1/5 of yuan qi left. That would mean 4 months of hard work, and he would definitely be able to reach the mortal realm stage 8. Taking out a jade box from his pocket, Yi Chen carefully put the inner core into the box and closed the lid to prevent the demonic qi and yuan qi from leaking out. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen woke up from his ecstasy and looked at the dead body of the tiger wolf demonic beast. The materials from a peak rank 2 demonic beast can be sold for at least 1,000 silvers. I can't waste it. After all, I still need to save money to buy the evil warding potion, which costs 5,000 silvers per bottle. Yi Chen mumbled to himself as he squatted down to collect the materials from the dead beast. He did not miss a single thing. After collecting all the materials, Yi Chen frowned. The big leather bag he brought was almost full. If only he had a storage ring. Of course, he was just thinking about it. Among the core disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School, only his senior sister Zhu Mei and Luo Hanshan had a storage ring. How could he possibly have one? However, from this it could be seen how powerful the Emerald Martial School was. Even Ji Xuyan, who was at the peak of the mid-condensing reality realm, had a storage ring. There were countless geniuses in the Emerald Martial School, and there must be a lot of disciples who were more powerful than Ji Xuyan. Sigh, a rank 7 martial school is indeed a rank 7 martial school. They are rich and have all kinds of treasures. My Yi family is one of the top 8 families. Only my father and some of the elders of the family have a storage ring. My mother is one of the most powerful outer elders of the Rudra Martial School, so it is normal for her to have one. It is impossible for anyone else to have one. Shaking his head, Yi Chen tied up the leather bag and was about to leave. Suddenly a strong wind suddenly appeared in the woods. Sand and pebbles were blown into the air. Some small plants were uprooted and flew into the air along with the strong wind. Yi Chen was shocked. What kind of strange wind is this? This is too sudden. Whoa! A horrifying roar was heard. It sounded like it was coming from hundreds of meters away. Not good, it was a rank 3 beast. Only rank 3 beasts and above could release their demonic qi and create a gust of wind to confuse people's sight and senses. Before Yi Chen's soul had traveled to this world, he had seen the part where Wu Song was fighting a tiger in the water margin. Before the tiger came out, there would be a gust of wind. But now, this rank 3 beast was way more powerful than the tiger. The wind it created could be compared to a typhoon. Without further ado, Yi Chen activated the pure Yuan art with all of his strength. He jumped up and flew out like a huge bird, trying to avoid the attack of the rank 3 beast. Crack, crack, the sound of trees breaking was heard. After a few breaths, a beast the size of a water buffalo appeared where Yi Chen had been. It was tall and muscular. There was no hair on its body, but it was covered with black scales. Its tail was a long scorpion's tail. The hook at the end of the tail was shining with a gray light. Obviously, it was coated with poison, and anyone who got hit by it would die for sure. Yi Chen turned around and took a look. He immediately pushed his qi as hard as he could, pushed his golden swallow art to its limit, and ran as fast as lightning. This strange beast was a scorpion-tailed demonic wolf. Even among the rank 3 beasts, it was a dominating existence. Even a mid-condensing reality realm warrior would have to stay away from it. Chapter 26. Run. Run as fast as you can. Yi Chen knew that even if he reached the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10, he would still not be able to fight against the scorpion-tailed demon wolf. The gap of 1 cultivation level was not that easy to make up for. As for the 3rd disciple of the North Snow Martial Academy, Lynch, he was able to beat Wu Wanshan mainly because of his martial arts and martial skills. The North Snow Martial Academy was a rank 7 martial institution, which was a huge power that had been developed for hundreds of years. They had countless rare martial arts and treasures, and their resources were unimaginably deep. However, Wu Wanshan was only a lone wolf. Even his most powerful sword art was created by himself. The golden swallow art had been trained to perfection by Yi Chen. When he performed it at full power, his feet would not even touch the ground, and he would run along the grass and trees. Every second, he would be able to cover a distance of 10 meters, which was no less than a real wild goose. Awoof! Before Yi Chen could let out a sigh of relief, a cloud of strong demonic chi shot towards him from behind. Yi Chen did not even need to look to know that it was the scorpion-tailed demon wolf's demonic chi bullet. Any warrior below the condensing reality realm would have their blood dried up and their limbs go numb. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chen's body flashed, and he easily dodged the attack. Boom! The ground on the right in front of him had been blown up, and all the plants nearby had withered instantly. Such a powerful demonic chi bullet, this scorpion-tailed demon wolf's pellet must be very powerful. If I could get it, it would save me at least half a year of hard work. Wait, what am I thinking? Yi Chen felt that his thoughts were ridiculous. Whether or not he could escape was still a problem, and he was still thinking about the pellet of the scorpion-tailed demon wolf. How reckless! Boom! Boom! Waves of demonic chi bullets came from behind, but Yi Chen could always find the best route to dodge. It gave people a feeling that he was walking in a rain of bullets. The scorpion-tailed demon wolf was furious. It stopped shooting the demonic chi bullets, and started to chase after the human in front of it. 50 steps, 45 steps, 40 steps. Yi Chen's scalp went numb. He hurriedly threw the big leather bag into the air, and accurately landed on the top of a huge tree. It would be hard to see from below, and it would also be prepared for him to come back later. Whoosh! After throwing away nearly 100 pounds of demonic beast materials, Yi Chen's speed increased drastically. He was now as fast as an early condensing reality realm warrior. Added with his powerful soul power, he was unpredictable. But even so, the scorpion-tailed demon wolf was still slowly closing in, albeit by a very small margin. The two of them, one chasing the other, unknowingly entered the depths of the silent hills. The surroundings were dead silent. The scorpion-tailed demon wolf that was chasing behind seemed to be a little afraid. It slowed down quite a bit, its huge head looking left and right from time to time. Suddenly, a huge black shadow jumped out from the bushes and bit the scorpion-tailed magic wolf's neck. Because it was too fast, its body slid on the ground for more than 10 meters. The scorpion-tailed demon wolf struggled with all its might and howled in fear. Unfortunately, the black shadow was much stronger than the scorpion-tailed demonic wolf. With a single swipe of its claw, it shattered the scorpion-tailed demonic wolf's head, causing blood to splatter everywhere. When Yi Chen turned around, he happened to meet the eyes of the black shadow. The pair of blood-red eyes were sharper than the edge of a knife, extremely evil. Rank 4 demonic beast, red blood demon beast. Yi Chen was extremely frustrated. He did not expect that after the scorpion-tailed demon wolf, an even more powerful red blood demon beast would appear. If that was it, then he might still have a chance of survival. But the problem was that he was lost, and he did not know if he had reached the depths of the silent hills. Although he was still hoping for a miracle, Yi Chen rationally believed that he was in the depths of the silent hills, otherwise there would not be a rank 4 demonic beast. Seeing that the red blood demon beast was chasing after him, Yi Chen forced himself to calm down. He looked around with his sharp eyes, and finally fixed his eyes on the rock mountain in front of him. There was a huge horizontal crack. It looked like it was cut out by a blade. It was immeasurably deep. Without caring about what would happen next, Yi Chen stomped on the ground with his right foot, and his body flew out diagonally into the crack like a swallow returning to its nest. Boom! The rock mountain was shaking. The red blood demon beast's body was too big. It could not follow Yi Chen in, but its huge power still caused the rocks to crack, and small rocks to fly everywhere. Yi Chen did not think that the entrance outside would be able to stop the red blood demon beast. He took out the luminous pearl from his pocket, and with the help of the dim light, he walked deeper into the cave. After walking for a long time, Yi Chen could no longer hear anything from the outside. Drip! A water drop fell. Yi Chen instinctively dodged it. Before, I did not know how fast my reflexes were, but I could not believe that I could even sense a drop of water and dodge it so easily. If it was before, even if Yi Chen could sense a drop of water, his body would not be able to react. But now that he had trained the pure Yuan art, his body and mind were almost at the same level. After walking for a while, Yi Chen felt a breeze on his face. He was instantly excited. He quickened his pace, and pulled out his great steel sword with his right hand. He started to accumulate his qi in his body. Oh! A cool breeze blew past, and Yi Chen's eyes suddenly opened up. In front of his eyes was a huge space. It was 4 to 5 meters tall, and he did not know how long or wide it was. It was an underground world. There was a river, trees, and a stone room in the underground world. Outside the stone room was a stone pavilion. Inside there was a stone table and 4 stone chairs. Did someone live here before? Yi Chen was shocked. He thought he had found the exit, but he did not expect to find himself underground. Walala! The water in the river splashed everywhere. It seemed like there were fish in the river, and the sound of water breaking could be heard from time to time. As for the trees, they were very strange. They were different from the big trees on the ground. The gray branches were like rocks, and there were only a few dozen gray leaves hanging on the branches. Not daring to be careless, Yi Chen walked towards the stone room. Is anyone here? Outside the stone room, Yi Chen raised his voice. He called out a few times, but there was no response. Yi Chen took a deep breath, pushed open the door and walked into the stone room. The stone room was not big. It was only 3 meters in length and width, and the walls were inlaid with longan-sized luminous stones, illuminating the inside. The first thing that caught his eyes was the huge human painting on the wall in front of him. There was a beautiful woman in the painting. Her hair was like a waterfall, and her eyes were like stars. She looked like a spirit in the wind, like the king of flowers. She looked like she was one of a kind. On the bottom right corner there was a name, Xianhou. Seeing this name, Yi Chen was shocked. It was Xianhou. There were countless powerful warriors in the true spirit continent, but there were only a few who could truly rule the world, such as Su King, Evil King, Dragon King, and Xianhou. As the only female among the top warriors, Xuanhou's life was legendary. She became a condensing reality realm warrior at the age of 11, reached the clasping Yuan realm at the age of 14, reached the astral reaching realm at the age of 18, reached the Sea of Souls realm at the age of 25, and reached the Life and Death realm at the age of 35, becoming the youngest Life and Death realm warrior in the past 1,000 years. She was so powerful that she was called the Xianhou. Chapter 27. How powerful was Xianhou? No one could say for sure. Some said she was in the top 5, some said she was weaker than the Evil King and the Dragon King, some said she was second only to Su King, and some said she was the most powerful in the world, and she was so mysterious that she had already touched the edge of the Great Tao. Of course, all of these were just speculations. But it was undeniable that the mysterious queen had indeed reached an unimaginable level. She had killed 3 master-level warriors from 100 miles away, broken through the earth vein with one palm attack, caused a volcano to erupt, changed the environment, and moved her own mountain to a place tens of thousands of miles away. Even a nameless brat like Yi Chen had heard about all of these things. Looking at the portrait carefully, Yi Chen found that he could not see Xuanhou's face clearly, as if the painter could not describe Xuanhou's face, and could only blur it to create a hazy beauty. After a long time, Yi Chen withdrew his gaze, and a question arose in his mind. Who are the people who live here? How could there be a portrait of Xianhou? It should be noted that Xianhou had ruled the world for more than 10 years, and only a few people were qualified to see her. Judging from the ink, this portrait was not more than 10 years old. Also, where was the owner of the stone room? He hung this well-preserved portrait on the wall, which obviously showed that he valued it a lot, and should have brought it with him when he went on a long trip. What is this? Yi Chen fixed his eyes on the center of the stone room, where there was a scorch mark. If he looked carefully, he could see an inconspicuous ring in the pale white ashes. Picking it up, Yi Chen wiped it with his sleeve. On the back of the green ring, 2 ancient characters were engraved, mid-rank. Yi Chen was shocked at first, and then he was overjoyed. This inconspicuous ring was a storage ring, and it was a priceless mid-rank storage ring. If a low-rank storage ring was enough to bankrupt a normal mid-rank family, then a mid-rank storage ring would be enough to make a big family like the Yi family bleed. Probably only the big martial institutions would have 1 or 2 of them, and they would only be owned by the leaders. Normal people would not even dare to dream about it. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen operated his internal qi and slowly poured it into the storage ring. Buzz! The storage ring shook slightly, and a trace of faintly discernible vibration spread out, which was captured by Yi Chen's soul power. In the next moment, Yi Chen saw the space inside the storage ring. It was a standard cube with a length, width, and height of 20 feet. Its entire body shone with a misty light and was slightly transparent, as if it had been cut out from the void. It was even larger than the living room of an ordinary family. There were 2 secret manuals, a sheathed long saber, and a pile of jagged jade stones the size of an egg, glowing with a faint white light. Could it be that this is a spirit stone? Focusing his attention on the jade, Yi Chen's originally calm emotions began to fluctuate again. With a thought, Yi Chen took out a piece of jade, closed his eyes, and sent his inner qi into it. Boom! As if the floodgates had been opened, the majestic yuan qi within the spirit stone ferociously gushed out and rushed into Yi Chen's meridians with unstoppable force. Not good, warriors below the condensing reality realm are not qualified to train with spirit stones. Yi Chen's face turned pale, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He hurriedly operated his pure yuan art, and forcibly cut off the connection with the spirit stone. Who, taking a few deep breaths, Yi Chen still had some lingering fear. He did not expect that he would be so happy that he would forget about the taboo of being a warrior, and almost lose all his meridians. Fortunately, the pure yuan art's inner qi was extremely pure, and it had been trained to the highest level of the 6 meridians, so he could barely cut off the connection. Otherwise, if it were someone else, even if their meridians were not damaged, they would still pass out due to the yuan qi. Although the meridians in his arms were still aching, Yi Chen still laughed out loud. Spirit stones were the same as storage rings, they were both essential for a high-level warrior. The latter was used to store objects, while the former was used to provide yuan qi for training, which could only be produced by natural veins. According to the quality and amount of spirit stones, they could be divided into low rank, mid-rank, top rank, and extreme rank. For ordinary people, it would take more than 5 years to train from Mortal Realm Stage 1 to Mortal Realm Stage 10, more than 10 years to train from early Condensing Reality Realm to late Condensing Reality Realm, and at least 20 to 30 years to train from early Clasping Yuan Realm to late Clasping Yuan Realm. For most people, 40 to 50 years was way too long, terrifyingly long. But with spirit stones, it would be different. Apart from the mortal realm, the warriors would need to train by themselves. Once they reached the condensing reality realm, they would be able to absorb the yuan qi from the spirit stones. According to some people's calculations, the quality of the yuan qi in the spirit stones was equivalent to 5 times the quality of the yuan qi in the world. In other words, excluding the problem of breaking through to the next level, it would be 4 times faster than normal training speed. In other words, only with the spirit stones could a genius be seen. After all, geniuses had extremely high comprehensive abilities, and could break through to the next level at an unbelievable speed, which would maximize the value of the spirit stones. But for those who were not talented, even with the help of the spirit stones, when it came time to break through to the next level, they would still have to focus on the spirit stones. Otherwise, they might be stuck at the same level for the rest of their lives. Yi Chen estimated that there were at least 10,000 spirit stones in the storage ring, and each spirit stone was worth more than 1,000 silvers. In total, there were 10 million silvers in the storage ring. What did 10 million silvers mean? It was enough to support a medium-sized family for 1 or 2 years. It was definitely a huge amount of money. Don't show your wealth, I have to keep this secret. Before I become powerful enough, I can't keep it to myself. Yi Chen warned himself. Moving his eyes away from the spirit stones with difficulty, Yi Chen took out the two manuals. The first one was a fist art manual. The Tyrant Fist was a low-rank Earth Realm martial skill. The practitioner must have absolute confidence, never give up, or else it would be hard to bring out the essence of the Tyrant Fist. The Tyrant Fist had 4 movements. The first movement, Tyrannical Rampage. The second movement, Dominating the World. The third movement, Dominating the World. The fourth movement, Tyrannical Millennium. Remember, the Tyrant Fist was extremely powerful. Before the practitioner had mastered Jin Qi, his body must be extremely powerful. Otherwise, he would injure himself, which was not worth it. The fourth movement, Tyrannical Millennium, was extremely mysterious. Only the body and Jin Qi could be used to its limit. It was a low-rank Earth Realm fist art. It would be a lie if Yi Chen said he was not excited. Normally, only the core disciples were qualified to learn low-rank Earth Realm martial skills. Only a few of the inner disciples could learn low-rank Earth Realm martial skills, not to mention the outer disciples. Yi Chen then looked at the second one. The second one was a body-strengthening manual. Pure Jade Body Boosting Spell. Low-rank Earth Realm, passed down from hundreds of years ago. It can increase the capacity of Yuan Qi that a mortal realm warrior can store. If a mortal realm warrior trained it, he or she could directly absorb the Yuan Qi from the soul stones with his or her strong body, without worrying about safety. The Pure Jade Body Boosting Spell had 5 movements. The first movement, Body Training. The second movement, Hard and Soft Force. The third movement, Pure Jade Body Boosting Spell. The fourth movement, Broken Jade Rebirth. The fifth movement, King Kong Jade Body. Chapter 28. After being shocked by the storage ring and the soul stones, Yi Chen was not that excited after seeing the low-rank Earth Realm manual. But of course, he was happy. Putting away the manual, Yi Chen took out the last item. It was a long saber with a scabbard. The scabbard was clear in color, carved with mountains, rivers, birds, and fishes. The handle was long and the handguard was a tiger's head, which swallowed the saber. Qin. Shao Qin drew his saber, and a bright saber chi shot out. It left a 1-meter-long mark on the walls of the stone room, looking exceptionally sharp. What a great saber! It can even produce saber chi. Yi Chen's eyes brightened. A weapon that could produce saber chi had already surpassed the category of ordinary weapons, and had risen to the level of a godly weapon. In his memory, the Yi family also had a great sword, called Vanishing Shadow. With one thrust, it could break through the air and kill without leaving a trace. If he was not mistaken, this great saber was worth more than 1,000,000 silvers. The only unfortunate thing was that Yi Chen did not use a blade, but a sword instead. In his opinion, the sword was the king of all weapons, and the overall evaluation was the highest. Plus, the number of people who trained in the sword would usually take up half of the total population, but the ones who could actually train it well were very, very few, even less than the other weapons. The cold saber was covered by the scabbard. Yi Chen looked back at the burnt ground. If he guessed it right, the owner of the stone room was already dead. He had lost his mind while training, and was burned into ashes by the Zhen Qi fire. Naturally, the storage ring had fallen into the ashes. Bowing 3 times to the ashes, Yi Chen murmured, "Elder, although you did not leave many things, but they are very useful to me. I, the outer disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School, bow to you. I hope you will not blame me for taking your things." After bowing 3 times, Yi Chen felt a bit emotional. Judging from the belongings, this deceased elder had quite a high cultivation, at least above the clasping Yuan realm, or even reached the astral reaching realm. Unfortunately, he still could not escape the fate of losing his mind. From this, one could imagine the cruelty of training. Even if one had to deal with external disasters, one had to overcome one's own body. Yi Chen, who could not find a way out, decided to train the pure jade body boosting spell. He had already mastered the first spell of the pure jade body boosting spell a long time ago, and the second spell had already reached the level of toughness and softness. The only thing he needed now was to be like his senior sister Su Jing, to have a godly power inside his body. What was divine power? The most common horse on this true spirit continent was called the dark brown horse. It could run as fast as flying, and it had a strong body. Without increasing its speed, it could have a force of 2,000 pounds with a light bump. Right now, Yi Chen's strength was around 1,500 jin. He was not far from 2,000 jin. However, he knew that the further he went, the slower his strength would grow. The time needed to reach 500 jin would definitely be longer than before. Yi Chen took out a few bottles of physique tempering paste from his pocket and took off his clothes, rubbing them on his body meticulously. Only when his skin shone with a glossy sheen, accentuating his muscles, did Yi Chen get into a stance and start practicing his punches in detail. The punches were still the King Kong fist. The more aggressive the punches were, the more thorough the training of the body would be. Of course, the King Kong fist was different from before. Instead, it was combined with the second spell of the pure jade body boosting spell. The effect was even more obvious. King Kong crossing the river. King Kong smash. King Kong dive. King Kong unlimited. Practicing the movements of the King Kong fist, Yi Chen gradually got into the zone. He forgot about everything around him. Vaguely, there came the sound of blood flowing inside Yi Chen's body. It sounded like a huge river. On the contrary, his heartbeat was getting slower and slower, but it was still very powerful. The thumping sound was like a huge drum, vibrating his bones. Not knowing how long had passed, Yi Chen suddenly opened his eyes. He jumped up and threw a punch at the huge gray tree trunk. Boom! The tree trunk was extremely hard, there were only a few cracks on it. What a hard tree! But my strength has increased a lot, it should be 1,500 pounds now. I didn't expect the pure jade body boosting spell to be so useful. Within 2 to 4 hours, his strength had increased by almost 100 pounds. It was something that the King Kong fist could not achieve. After resting for a while, Yi Chen felt a bit hungry. What he had just done had used up all the extra energy in his body. He needed to replenish it. Walking to the river, Yi Chen thought to himself, the fish in here should be edible. The river was deep and clear. Through the water, he could see the shadows. The smaller ones were about a foot long, and the bigger ones were more than 5 feet long. They were swimming very fast. With just a swing of their tails, they could swim 7 to 8 meters away, out of people's sight. Picking up a stone from the ground, Yi Chen yelled in a low voice, "Hit it!" With the force of more than 1,000 pounds, the stone was even sharper than a hidden weapon. It drew a straight line in the air, and instantly sank into the water. Originally, Yi Chen was just testing the distance of the fish and the refraction of the water. He did not expect that he would hit a 5 feet long black shadow. Whoosh! All of a sudden, the black shadow flipped over and broke out of the water. As the water splashed, a dark brown weird fish appeared in front of Yi Chen's eyes. There were thorns on the side of its gills, its body was thick and powerful, and its surface was uneven. Opening its mouth full of sharp teeth, the weird fish bit towards Yi Chen's head. Yi Chen smiled lightly. He bent down and punched the weird fish's abdomen. Chin. The weird fish's skin was as hard as steel, which surprised Yi Chen a lot. With his current punch, he could shatter a huge rock into pieces, but he could not break through its defense. Pop! The weird fish backed off 1/2 meter under the impact of the punch. It swung its tail, which was as thin as a cow's tail. Even Yi Chen did not want to be hit by it. At this critical moment, Yi Chen did not choose to back off. He took out the great blade from his storage ring and waved it. Puff! The weird fish's tail was chopped off. The weird fish fell into the river, trying its best to swim deeper, not daring to attack Yi Chen again. Forcing a smile, Yi Chen knew that without the great blade, it would not be easy to deal with this weird fish. Whether or not he could break through its defense was still a problem. But judging from the fish's body, it did not seem to be releasing any beast chi, so it could not be a beast. It should be an ancient species with special talents. The fish's tail was 3 feet long, and was as thick as a bowl, enough for Yi Chen to eat. He always carried a fire starter with him, so Yi Chen started a fire quickly and put the fishtail on the grill. After 15 minutes, a smell that he had never smelled before spread out, which made Yi Chen's mouth twitch. Grabbing the fishtail, Yi Chen bit down. The meat was so tender that he almost bit his tongue. This is amazing. This fish is like beef, but also like chicken. It has an indescribable rich aroma, and it is very chewy. Wait, why is my body heating up? As he swallowed the fish, Yi Chen's body suddenly felt hot. A wave of heat spread out from his stomach to the rest of his body, seeping into his muscles, blood, and even his bones. Wave after wave, it felt very warm. Chapter 29. After about 15 minutes, the heat flow finally dissipated. Yi Chen felt that his body was filled with strength from the inside out. He was brimming with energy, as if he could kill a ferocious tiger with a single punch. Could it be that the flesh of this strange fish has the effect of strengthening one's body? Yi Chen revealed a joyful expression as he devoured the fishtail in big mouthfuls. He only chewed 3 times before swallowing the fishtail. Chi. His body rapidly heated up, and sticky black impurities seeped out from his pores. A foul stench filled the air, and Yi Chen almost fainted from the suffocating smell. I can't take it anymore, I have to go take a bath. Yi Chen couldn't care less about the strange fish in the river. He stood up and leaped lightly into the river. Whoosh! The cool river water touched his skin, and it felt extremely comfortable. All 48,000 pores on his body seemed to have opened up, greedily breathing in. However, the owner of the river water wasn't willing. The strange fish in the vicinity heard the noise and attacked in a frenzy. Yi Chen laughed coldly. He took out his treasured saber and swept it horizontally, slashing out a circular arc of saber energy in the water. 1, 2, 3, a total of 9 strange fish were slashed into 2, unable to retaliate at all. Yi Chen threw their corpses onto the shore, 1 in each hand, preparing to use them as food in the future. When the other strange fish saw how fierce Yi Chen was, they all fled like birds. It seemed that they weren't as courageous as they appeared to be. After taking a refreshing bath, Yi Chen jumped out of the river. He subconsciously lifted his feet, and his entire body felt light and healthy. Other than that, the fish meat in his stomach had been completely digested, and he had to replenish it. The largest of the 9 strange fish was no longer than 3 feet. Yi Chen picked up 3 of them, cut their stomachs, and poured out their intestines. After washing them, he skewered them with a thin branch and roasted them over the bonfire. The aroma filled the air. After a while, the fish meat was cooked again. My strength has increased a lot now. I wonder if I can reach the divine power stage by eating fish. Strength above 2,000 pounds was considered to be super strength. Some people were born with super strength when they were 8 or 9 years old, but some people couldn't even when they were in their 20s or 30s. This was the difference in talent. Originally, it would take Yi Chen at least a week to reach this level, and that was with the help of the pure jade body boosting spell. But now, he could reach his goal by eating the fish, which would save him a lot of time, so why not? After eating the 3 fish, black impurities oozed out of Yi Chen's body again, but they were much less than the first time and were slightly transparent. At the same time, Yi Chen's stomach churned with extreme pain. He hurriedly rushed to the toilet in the underground world and squatted down impatiently. There was a continuous puffing sound, and the surroundings were filled with a foul stench. After he had completely excreted, Yi Chen did not feel too exhausted. Those were just impurities that could not be excreted from his pores. He did not want to take a second look at them. Naked, Yi Chen poured some vanilla powder around him to cover the stench in the air, and then walked into the river. As the black impurities were washed away, Yi Chen's skin became smooth like silk. It was tough and dense, and even swords would not be able to cut it. His tender body seemed to have been trained countless times. His muscles were well defined, and his broad shoulders were strong. Yi Chen calmly felt that his body was continuously absorbing yuan qi. Even the river could not stop it. Furthermore, the yuan qi was changing slightly, and its capacity had increased by more than 30%. It was almost automatically pouring into his body, and quickly merging with his qi. The qi whirlpool in his dantian gradually tightened, and the pressure in the center increased, as if it was turning his qi into zhen qi in advance to strengthen his body. It seems like not only my body's quality has increased, but the speed of absorbing yuan qi has also increased. This is not as simple as the super strength. That's right, Yi Chen's strength had already surpassed 2,000 pounds, and was approaching 3,000 pounds. In terms of pure strength, the core disciple Su Jing was not that much stronger than Yi Chen, at most 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. Eating fish, practicing boxing, and training his qi, time passed by slowly. On this day, Yi Chen stood in front of a big gray tree. If I could break this tree with one punch, it would mean that my strength had reached 3,000 pounds. By then, it would be easier for me to train the third level of the pure jade body boosting spell. Once I have mastered the third level, I would be able to use the yuan qi from the spirit stones to replace the natural yuan qi. Yi Chen's mind was like a mirror. He had already planned out all the steps for the future. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen punched the big tree. Crack! The big tree broke instantly. The top half of the tree fell down and landed on the ground. Done. Yi Chen took a deep breath. It is even stronger than I thought. It should be 3,500 pounds. Although he did not know how much time had passed outside, Yi Chen's intuition told him that it had not been more than 3 days, maybe even less. In just 2 to 3 days, he had mastered the second level of the pure jade body boosting spell. This horrifying speed even surprised Yi Chen himself. He was wondering how strong he could become by eating fish. Would it be more than 5,000 pounds or even 10,000 pounds? Shaking his head, Yi Chen could not imagine it anymore. As time went on, Yi Chen started to feel annoyed. This place was too depressing, isolated from the rest of the world. It would be fine if it was just 1 or 2 days, but to live here every day, Yi Chen suspected that he would go crazy. Making up his mind, Yi Chen was ready to leave this place. Looking at the river, Yi Chen planned to catch some weird fishes and put them in his storage ring before he found a way out. These fishes could easily be worth more than 10,000 silvers, especially that huge fish that was 5 feet long. Just its tail alone was more effective than the other small fishes. It was obvious how effective it was. Making up his mind, Yi Chen took out his great blade and dove into the river. The river was very deep and it was pitch black. Yi Chen had already expected this situation, so he took out a few luminous stones and threw them into the river. The valuable luminous stones slowly sank into the river, emitting a soft glow that illuminated the environment within a radius of 10 meters. Whoosh! The river rippled, and the huge shadow quickly swam away. Where do you think you are going? Yi Chen gathered his qi and threw out a blade attack. The bright blade qi could not even stop the river water. It was cut open and chased after the shadow like lightning. With a puff sound, the shadow froze in place. Yi Chen was afraid that it might be a trap, so he threw out another blade qi attack. As expected, the huge shadow struggled for a while, and the river water became murky, making it hard for the naked eye to see clearly. Of course, this was not a problem for Yi Chen. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chen easily caught the shadow, and with a push of his feet, he jumped up. Breaking out of the water, Yi Chen threw the dead fish on the shore and continued to dive. 1, 2, 5, only when there were no more strange fishes in the river did Yi Chen stop. It's time to go back. That red blood demon beast must have gone somewhere else to hunt. Yi Chen was still a bit worried. A rank 4 beast was unimaginably powerful. Even if he had 10,000 pounds of strength, he would not dare to fight against it, unless he reached the condensing reality realm. Following the path he came from, Yi Chen carefully walked back. From afar, there was a light coming from the huge crack in the rock mountain. Yi Chen held his breath, tightly holding his blade as he walked quietly. Chapter 30. The entrance was a mess. Broken rocks were everywhere. Looking at the walls, there were claw marks that were a few feet deep, as if they were made of tofu. Yi Chen secretly felt lucky. He did not dare to stay any longer and flew back the way he came. Yi Chen had already remembered the lesson from last time. Therefore, in this dangerous area, Yi Chen did not rush on the ground. Instead, he jumped from one big tree to another. Along the way, he released his soul power to the limit. Once there was any movement, he would immediately hide his aura and hide. In the afternoon, Yi Chen finally arrived at the place where the big leather bag was placed. There's someone? Hiding behind the big tree, Yi Chen's eyes were sharp. Under the big tree, 3 teenagers were standing there. One of them had a big leather bag in his hand. It was very bulging. It was Yi Chen's harvest from a few days ago. Haha, our luck is too good. Walking on the road, we can pick up demonic beast materials. There is even an inner pellet inside. We can sell it for at least 20 to 30,000 silvers. The slightly older teenager sneered. I wonder which idiot hid the demonic beast materials on the tree. He thought no one would find them. What a joke. Another one flattered. Zhang Kuan, you are the best. You could tell with one glance that there was something on the tree. We did not know anything. Zhang Kuan said proudly. That's why I said that following me is your good fortune. Wait until my cousin, Zhang Haoran, becomes an inner disciple. Then we can do whatever we want in the outer court. Of course, of course. The two nodded and complimented. Yi Chen could not stand it anymore. He walked out and said, Put down the demonic beast materials. Zhang Kuan looked back. It's you. That day in the Mu Rin Gang competition, Zhang Kuan had Zhang Haoran's help, so he should have been able to get the 3rd place easily. But unfortunately, his plan could not keep up with the changes. Yi Chen suddenly appeared out of nowhere and took the 3rd place, which made Zhang Kuan very annoyed. Zhang Kuan, who is this little bastard? Do you want us to teach him a lesson? Make him kneel on the ground and kowtow to admit his mistake. The square-faced youth next to him observed the situation and understood that Yi Chen had offended Zhang Kuan. That's right. I have the most experience in dealing with low-level outer sect disciples. I can make them cry for mercy. Hey little bastard, crawl over here yourself. Thinking that he was at Mortal Realm Stage 9, the young man did not take Yi Chen seriously at all, his face full of disdain. Zhang Kuan grinned and said, He offended my cousin, so he definitely won't have a good time. But now we can humiliate him and let him know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Yi Chen said coldly, Are you guys done yet? Put down the demonic beast materials and slap yourselves 10 times. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving. What? Hearing Yi Chen's words, Zhang Kuan and the other two's expressions suddenly changed. It was not that they had never seen arrogant people before, but they had never seen anyone with a low cultivation base who could be arrogant. This Yi Chen was simply courting death. Anger gave birth to courage, and the 3 of them thought of killing him to silence him. I dare you to say that again. Zhang Kuan did not hide the killing intent in his eyes and said coldly, If you kowtow and apologize now, you can still be saved. Why are you wasting your breath on him? Little bastard, prepare to die. The square-faced young man took a step forward and opened his right palm, aiming towards Yi Chen's face. If this palm hit him, even if Yi Chen did not die, his face would be disfigured. His attack was indeed vicious. Seeking death. Although the opponent's cultivation was 2 levels higher than his, Yi Chen did not care about it at all. With a casual step forward, his body suddenly appeared in front of the young man. He reached out his right hand and grabbed the young man's neck, slamming him down. Boom! A shallow pit appeared on the ground, and the square-faced young man's head sank half a foot into the pit. Bastard, if you dare to make a move, I will take your life. Zhang Kuan and the other young man were shocked. They joined hands to attack Yi Chen, and each of them performed the martial skills that they had been practicing for a long time. Limitless Sands Ho. Collapsing Cloud Palm. Facing the two's fierce attacks, Yi Chen's feet shook, and the hard ground was immediately crushed. His whole body became extremely powerful, and without moving, he punched out with both of his fists. Bang! Bang! What's going on? He is only at Mortal Realm Stage 7. Zhang Kuan and the other young man felt like they were struck by lightning. They spat out a mouthful of blood, and both of their feet left the ground. On the way, Zhang Kuan's face flashed with a vicious expression. He waved his hand and shot out a black light. Go to hell. Don't forget that it was I, Zhang Kuan, who killed you in hell. Shoo! The black light was a poisoned willow dart. It was extremely fast, and almost as soon as it was shot, it was already in front of Yi Chen. The head of the dart was shining with a purple light. Just as Zhang Kuan was laughing coldly, his face suddenly froze. In his sight, Yi Chen had only pinched the willow dart with his index and middle fingers of his right hand. Impossible! Even a Mortal Realm Stage 10 warrior would not be able to handle my hidden weapons. Staggering on the ground, Zhang Kuan's face was half angry and half frightened. Yi Chen did not bother to explain. He flicked his hand and threw the willow dart back. I hope you have the antidote with you. With a puff, the willow dart deeply stabbed into Zhang Kuan's arm, and the poison instantly invaded his body. Bastard! I want your whole family dead. My cousin will not let you go. The poison on the willow dart was the 5-step snake poison. Mortal Realm warriors would definitely die from it, and even condensing reality realm warriors might not be able to handle it. Seeing that he had been poisoned, Zhang Kuan's face turned pale. He was afraid that the poison would attack his heart before he could detoxify the poison. He quickly took out a bottle of antidote, opened the cork, and poured the whole bottle on his wound. Yi Chen hated it when people humiliated his whole family. He was so angry that he pushed his golden swallow art to its limit. He turned into a wisp of green smoke and flew out, trying to kill Zhang Kuan. At that moment, a cold shout came out. Get back! A figure suddenly appeared in front of Zhang Kuan, blocking his way. Yi Chen could not hold back his power. He threw out a punch. The fierce qi spread out in all directions, the grass and trees were all bent over. Yi Chen lightly flew back to where he was standing, and looked at the young man in front of Zhang Kuan. The young man was about 18 years old. He had a gloomy face and a sarcastic smile on his face. Li Bu. Zhang Kuan was surprised. Li Bu was one of the top outer disciples. He was at the same level as Zhang Haoran, peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10. However, because he had not been able to break through to become an inner disciple for a long time, he had been in closed-door training, hoping to break through before the end of the year. Plus, he did not participate in the Mu Rin Gang competition, otherwise Wu Zongming would not have been able to get the second place. With him here, no matter how powerful Yi Chen was, he would still be killed. Li Bu, my cousin asked you to protect me. Kill him for me now. Zhang Kuan was seriously injured, and as he spoke, there was a lot of blood coming out of his mouth. Li Bu said calmly, You can't even beat a Mortal Realm Stage 7 warrior, you are a disgrace to your cousin. As for him, don't worry, I will let him know what it feels like to kneel down. Zhang Haoran was known as a genius, so Li Bu could not ignore him. In the future, when he becomes an inner disciple, he would be able to take care of him. Turning around, Li Bu said, Little brat, I will give you one chance. Kneel down and admit your mistake, and I will let you go. Otherwise, you will know what I, Li Bu, am capable of. Chapter 31. I will also give you a chance, leave now. Yi Chen had only used half of his power. He had not even used his real power yet. Li Bu laughed out loud as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He did not even try to hide the murderous intent in his laughter. Obviously, Yi Chen had pissed him off. Looks like you won't give up until you die. Kneel down. His laughter was still echoing in the air. Li Bu had already charged towards Yi Chen. Along the way, his blade flashed and the air was cut open. It carried a powerful aura, as if it wanted to see blood. Yi Chen stood where he was without moving, looking like he had been scared out of his wits by the sharp blade light. Seeing this, Li Bu grinned. He was thinking if he should cut off one of Yi Chen's arms first, or one of his ears, or both. Still want to fight back? Li Bu saw Yi Chen's right hand on the hilt of his sword, and his eyes looked empty. Chin. In the next second, a bright sword light appeared out of nowhere. It stabbed out at an incredible speed, and then went back into its scabbard. Li Bu stood there, dumbfounded. He looked down and saw that there was a hole in his left abdomen. The hole went through his back, and blood stained his shirt. No way. No way. I was already at the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10 a year ago. How could I be killed in 1 second? Li Bu's expression was ferocious, but it gave people a feeling of weakness. Yi Chen said lightly, I won't kill you today, but if you mess with me again, the consequences will not be so simple. Picking up his big leather bag, Yi Chen turned his back to them. Fresh Wind Town. The Elixir Pavilion. The shopkeeper was shocked as he looked at the beast materials on the counter. It was not that there was something wrong with the materials, but the person who was selling them was too amazing. If it was a Mortal Realm Stage 10 warrior who had gotten so many beast materials, he would not be so surprised. But the problem was that the person was only at the early Mortal Realm Stage 7. Red Armored Spider materials, 900 silvers, Earth-cracking centipede materials, 1,200 silvers, Red Smelting Bird materials, 1,300 silvers, Earth Viper materials, 800 silvers, Tiger Wolf materials, 1,100 silvers, a total of 28,800 silvers. Same old rules, change them all into gold note. Also, give me a bottle of evil warding potion. The inner core of a monster beast was much more effective than spirit stones alone. Yi Chen would not waste it. You have a demonic beast core? The shopkeeper's eyes lit up. What's the problem? The shopkeeper said, Can you sell this inner core to the Spirit Medicine Pavilion? Yi Chen shook his head. I don't lack money. What I lack is time. What if I use an essence chi pill to exchange with you? To tell you the truth, our Spirit Medicine Pavilion's pavilion master is currently experimenting with a new kind of medicinal pill, which requires a large amount of monster beast inner cores. An origin chi pill's effect is absolutely not inferior to an inner core that has matured for 3 months. It can also help you save the money needed to buy evil repelling potions. Yuan chi pellet? Yi Chen froze for a second. This kind of pellet could save a Mortal Realm warrior 3 months of hard work. Although the inner pellet of a demonic beast was great, it could only save 2 to 3 months of training after using the evil warding potion to get rid of its beast chi. Not to mention that it would save a bottle of evil warding potion that was worth over 10,000 silvers. Okay, I agree to the exchange. Yi Chen nodded. Walking out of the Spirit Medicine Pavilion, Yi Chen walked towards the restaurant. Young master, please do me a favor. Give my poor daughter some food. I am willing to work like a horse in my next life. At the entrance of the restaurant, there was a middle-aged woman with a little girl. Both of their clothes were tattered and their faces were dirty. The little girl seemed to be extremely hungry. She sucked on her fingers with her mouth and looked hopefully at the customers coming and going. Unfortunately, no one paid any attention to them. They thought they were dirty and didn't even want to look at them. Yi Chen felt sorry for them, so he took out a piece of silver from his money bag and threw it to them. For him, he was not short of money, only big money. Normally, a meal would cost at least 10 to 20 silvers. In terms of living, it could be said that he was quite rich. Thank you, thank you. The middle-aged woman was so excited that she was speechless. She had brought her poor daughter to the windy town for a few days, and the people who gave her money were mostly ordinary people, or some old beggars. Yi Chen waved his hand and walked into the restaurant. The little girl next to the middle-aged woman stared at Yi Chen's back in a daze. There were many things in her eyes that could not be erased. On the second floor, sitting by the window, Yi Chen was still thinking about what had just happened. Compared to the warriors and the rich, the lives of the ordinary people and the poor are way too hard. I can earn hundreds or thousands of silvers just by killing one beast, but they are still struggling to eat 3 meals a day. Who knows how many people have starved to death? Does fate really exist? Only now did Yi Chen feel that he had integrated into this world. He felt the joys and sorrows of this world, and the sufferings of all living beings. Before, he had always regarded himself as an outsider, a passerby. Forget it. There are millions of poor people on this true spirit continent. I can't help them all even if I wanted to. I can only promise to help every single one I see. After finishing his meal and leaving the restaurant, the mother and daughter were already gone. They probably went to some steamed bun shop to buy steamed buns. Yi Chen sighed and walked towards the tall windy mountain in the distance. When he returned to the independent courtyard, the sky was already dark, and a bright moon was slowly rising. Yi Chen first took a shower to get rid of the dust on his body, then he sat on the bed with his legs crossed, preparing to refine the yuan qi pellet into his own qi. The yuan qi pellet was light yellow in color, and there were fine cloud patterns on its surface, making it slightly transparent. Gulp. After swallowing the yuan qi pellet, Yi Chen concentrated his qi and slowly started to operate the pure yuan art. Boom. A loud noise seemed to come from his inner world. The yuan qi pellet turned into pure yuan qi and flowed into all of his meridians, merging with his qi. 2 whole hours passed. Yi Chen opened his eyes, and a sharp light flashed through them. From early mortal realm stage 7 to late mortal realm in one go, I don't think the yuan qi pellet has such a big effect. After 3 months of hard work, it was already quite good for him to reach the mid-stage, since his body condition was not that great after all. It was barely above average, and could not compete with those martial geniuses at all. His only advantage was his powerful soul power and his extraordinary comprehensive ability. He could train any martial art to perfection. However, it did not have much to do with his cultivation. At most, he would be able to reach the next level faster, and it would not take him too long to do so. Could it be that the fish meat had changed my body quality, or that my body was extremely lacking in yuan qi, so it was more efficient and could convert more qi into qi? Yi Chen would not think about the things that he could not figure out for the time being. He needed to think about how to train the third spell of the pure jade body-boosting spell. Different from normal martial arts, body-boosting martial arts were usually very hard to train, and it had nothing to do with comprehension ability. It required opportunities and methods, or else it would be useless. Of course, it was not that Yi Chen did not have the ability to train it, but the training method of the third spell was a bit weird. It required him to absorb the jade qi from the jade stones and merge it with his body. Chapter 32. After thinking for a while, Yi Chen opened the box next to his bed and took out a blue jade pendant with dragon patterns. It looked a bit broken. This jade pendant was something Yi Chen had his eyes on at the pawn shop. At that time, he already felt that it was different from the others, but he did not know what was different about it. But now Yi Chen could see through it with just one look. There was a blue qi circulating inside the jade pendant, and it was constantly repairing the broken parts. Natural blue jade. Yi Chen shouted in surprise. Jade was divided into innate and acquired. The latter was formed slowly after thousands of years, while the former was formed when a wisp of innate vital energy entered the jade and developed a faint spiritual nature. It often had indescribable hidden benefits for the wearer. However, these two kinds of jade were extremely hard to tell apart. If it were not for Yi Chen's powerful soul power, he would not have been able to recognize it. With this natural blue jade, it can save me a lot of time. Just when I am about to doze off, someone sends me a pillow. Yi Chen smiled and held the jade in his hand. Calming himself down, Yi Chen took a deep breath and pushed his pure yuan art to its limit. His pure yuan art flowed into the blue jade through the meridians in his arm. Pop! The yuan qi in the blue jade had already merged with the jade qi, forming a special kind of spiritual qi. It was quite thick and sticky, and it was a bit troublesome to absorb it with his pure yuan art. He could only pull out one stream at a time. One stream was fine, he could take it slow. As the spiritual qi entered his body, it did not merge with his qi. Instead, it spread to every part of his body, as if his body was a jade body. Next was the most important part. The pure jade body boosting spell flowed through his mind. Yi Chen used his powerful soul power to gather all the scattered spiritual qi and used it to cleanse his body. In the end, he simply merged it with the spiritual qi. Looking closely, one could see that there was a faint jade light on the surface of his skin, but it was so weak that it was almost negligible. 6 days had passed. Yi Chen had finally reached the entry level. His body had merged with 133 streams of spiritual qi. The blue jade's luster was getting dimmer and dimmer, and it had lost its spiritual qi. Once he started the pure jade body boosting spell, the surface of his body immediately shone with a jade-like luster, making him look indestructible. Picking up a fruit knife from the table, Yi Chen clenched his teeth and used 60% of his strength to stab at the less fatal spot on his chest. But, after all, the fruit knife was no match for a fine steel sword. It broke into two, but there was only a white mark on Yi Chen's skin. Withdrawing the jade qi, Yi Chen's skin became soft again, and the luster of the jade disappeared. It was as delicate as a brocade, full of elasticity, but it didn't lose its explosive power. I'm only at minor success in the third art, and it already has such a defense. I really wonder what the fourth and fifth art will be like. Originally, Yi Chen had planned to cultivate with spirit stones only after he had mastered the third art. However, Yi Chen felt that it was about time. His meridians and physical body could withstand the impact of the spirit stone's yuan qi, so he didn't have to worry about any side effects. The result was just as he expected. The energy within the spirit stones was still boundless and pure, but it was already under his control and could not cause any more waves. With the huge amount of spirit stones yuan qi turned into qi, Yi Chen soon broke through the mortal realm stage 7 and reached the early stage 8. Looking at the low-rank spirit stone in his hand, Yi Chen thought to himself, a low-rank spirit stone is enough for an early condensing reality realm warrior to use for 5 days, and I am only a mortal realm stage 8 warrior, so I should be able to use it for 10 days, maybe even more. That deceased senior left me a huge fortune. The Martial Plaza, the place where the Sky Cloud Martial School Disciples competitions were held. Today was not an important day, and there were no competitions, but there were a lot of people gathered here from all directions. Most of them were outer disciples, and there were a few dozen inner disciples. Huang Bingwen, don't underestimate Zhang Haoren. He is called a genius, so he must have some skills. Brother Cui is right, cross-realm challenges are nothing new in the Windy Nation. Don't fail miserably and embarrass us inner disciples. 3 inner disciples were walking side by side, 2 of them were talking to each other. Huang Bingwen, who was dressed in yellow, proudly said, "Of course I won't underestimate him. I gave him 2 months because I was about to break through to the 5th layer of the Heart Sutra. You should know that the gap between each layer of the Heart Sutra is very big. That way I would have more confidence." It had been 2 months since the incident at the Pavilion of Martial Arts. Huang Bingwen did not forget about the bet with Zhang Haoren, and he also wanted to try out the power of the 5th level of the Heart Sutra. The 5th level of the Heart Sutra, you hit it so well. Zhang Haoren won't be able to do anything now. Oh right, I heard that you also made a bet with another outer disciple, it is also today. Huang Binwen said with disdain, him? He is only at the late mortal realm stage 6, I can kill him with one finger. Late mortal realm stage 6? You're overestimating your own capabilities. Hee, this year's outer disciples are all itching for a beating, I can't help but teach them a lesson. Huang Binwen was the star of today's show. As he arrived, everyone's eyes were on him, making him feel like he had never felt before. Standing on the stage, Huang Binwen shouted, Zhang Haoran, come up and die. Below the stage, Zhang Haoran, who was wearing a blue shirt, sneered, Huang Binwen, if you want to die, you don't have to rush. You should take care of that stupid outer disciple first. He had already known about his cousin being badly wounded, but he was not in a hurry to take revenge. For him, letting Yi Chen be stepped on by Huang Binwen in front of everyone would not be a bad idea. There was no need to dirty his own hands. If he fought with Huang Binwen first, then Huang Binwen would definitely lose, and he would not be able to see that scene. Alright, I only need one move to take care of him. He can't run away anyways. Huang Binwen did not care about such a small thing. He looked around, trying to find Yi Chen. In the crowd, Wu Zongming said worriedly, Yi Chen, although you have reached the late mortal realm stage 9, your opponent has been at the early condensing reality realm for a long time. His martial skills and skills are all more powerful than yours, it will be very hard for you to win. Just try not to lose too badly. In the history of the Sky Cloud Martial School, it was rare for an outer disciple to defeat an inner disciple, and all of those outer disciples were extremely talented. Although Yi Chen was quite talented, it would be very difficult for him to compete with Huang Binwen, almost impossible. Yi Chen smiled lightly, I know what I'm doing. Pushing through the crowd, Yi Chen walked towards the battling stage. He shouted, Stop looking, I'm here. Huang Binwen's eyes were fixed on Yi Chen. He laughed evilly. Looks like you have been here for a long time, why did you only come out now? Shoo! With a jump, Yi Chen landed on the huge battling stage. To be honest, it was a mistake for you not to fight with Zhang Haoran first, because you won't have the chance anymore. Huang Binwen raised his eyebrows. What a boast! I will let you know what it feels like to be stepped on soon. An outer disciple, he did not even care about him. Chapter 33. This brat is looking for death. Do you guys know him? I know him, his name is Yi Chen. Half a year ago, he was only at Mortal Realm Stage 4. Even I can't see through him now, no wonder he is so confident. No matter how fast he improves, it doesn't matter. Although Brother Huang Binwen is ranked in the top 300, he is still an early condensing reality realm warrior. Us outer disciples are no match for him at all. That's true, Yi Chen is going to be unlucky. The outer disciples were all talking about it, while the inner disciples were just watching coldly. Brat, go to hell. On the stage, Huang Binwen didn't even prepare his power. He just took a big step forward and grabbed Yi Chen's head with his claw. The black claw light made a swishing sound. Demon Finishing Claw. Yi Chen recognized his opponent's martial skill. It was a top-rank Mortal Realm martial skill. With one attack, it could even break a steel plate. The power of the claw could penetrate through the Zhen Qi of a warrior of the same level. Shoo! Yi Chen lightly touched the ground and flew backwards, dodging the claw light. Huang Binwen had a strange look in his eyes, he yelled. Trying to dodge? Skynet attack. Early condensing reality realm warriors could already release their Zhen Qi and kill people from a distance. Huang Binwen waved his hands in the air, and a dark ghost claw made of Zhen Qi shot out. Releasing Zhen Qi? Indeed troublesome. When fighting against a condensing reality realm warrior, the mortal realm warrior was not only weaker in many aspects, but also couldn't attack from a distance. At most, he could send out a palm wind mixed with qi from 3 to 4 meters away, which was not very powerful. But condensing reality realm warriors were different, they could kill people from 10 meters away. Some of their martial skills even needed a certain distance to be effective. Pushing the golden swallow art to its limit, Yi Chen's body flashed, leaving a shadow on the ground. He dodged the claw light and attacked Huang Bingwen. "You are looking for death, I was waiting for you." Huang Bingwen did not expect Yi Chen to be so fast, but he was not worried at all. With a backhand claw, he tore at Yi Chen. On the way, Yi Chen lowered his body and placed his right hand on the hilt of his sword. His sharp eyes stared at Huang Bingwen. 10 steps, 7 steps, 5 steps. A sword light that was as twisted as water instantly attacked, and like a loach, it pierced through the gaps of the claw shadows. Flowing clouds and flowing water, 7th move, seeking gap. The simpler the move, the more effective it was, because it had no flaws at all. Before the sword arrived, Huang Bingwen's chest already had a reaction. It was cold and numb, and goosebumps appeared all over his body. He was incomparably shocked. Yi Chen's strength had completely exceeded his expectations. However, he was an early condensing reality realm warrior after all. He had been in the martial world for quite a while and had experienced quite a few battles. After the initial shock, he let out an angry roar, mysterious heavy aura. Buzz. The air vibrated. Looking at it with naked eyes, the space 3 feet around Huang Bingwen's body seemed to have been twisted. The sword light flew past him without leaving any damage. It is the 5th level of the mysterious heavy art. A few of the inner disciples frowned, and looked at Huang Bingwen in a different light. Yi Chen frowned and quickly backed out. Huang Bingwen said confidently, "In front of my mysterious heavy aura, all your attacks will be useless. But my attacks will be able to affect your balance." "Not necessarily," Yi Chen thought to himself. "This time, I will beat you with one attack." Huang Bingwen's face did not look good. He had planned to beat Yi Chen with one attack, and then teach Zhang Haoren a lesson. But he did not expect Yi Chen to be so hard to deal with. Yi Chen's movement was so fast that it was impossible to track him down. Even after a few attacks, he still could not touch Yi Chen. Yi Chen's sword art looked simple, but it forced him to use all of his power to activate the 5th level of the mysterious heavy art. Swimming dragon step. Extending his body, Huang Bingwen strode forward. With a few steps, he was like a soaring divine dragon as he charged toward Yi Chen. Huang Bingwen has even used the mysterious heavy aura and the swimming dragon step. Is this Yi Chen really that powerful? Many of the inner disciples had never fought with Yi Chen before, so they did not know what was going on. "I can see that this Yi Chen is definitely a sword genius," an inner disciple said slowly with a serious face. "What do you mean?" "I have seen senior sister Zhu Mei fight with other core disciples before. She also used the flying cloud sword art. Although it is not that powerful, it is very hard to defend against." "You think too highly of him. How can he be compared with senior sister?" "Don't ask me, I don't know either. Only some powerful inner disciples or core disciples would be able to see it. No matter what, this Yi Chen is now famous." Facing Huang Bingwen, who was rushing towards him, Yi Chen squinted his eyes. As he moved his feet, he used the 9th movement of the flying cloud sword art, moving night. The night light was like water and the sword light was everywhere. Huang Bingwen's eyes were dazzled. He never knew that the flying cloud sword art was this powerful. However, it was not enough to make him back off. His left hand formed into a claw, and his right hand formed a fist. He threw out a punch at the same time. Demon slaughtering wind claw, crazy fist. The sword and the claw clashed, and a cracking sound was heard. Yi Chen suddenly left the ground and flew back a little. He then made a fist with his left hand covered in a faint golden light and clashed with Huang Bingwen's right fist. Boom! 2 different forces pressed against each other and eventually exploded, causing waves of air to ripple. Right at that moment, Yi Chen floated backward in order to get rid of some of the power. Right then, as soon as his feet landed on the ground, his aura changed drastically. It was like a collapsing mountain as he shot out a sword attack towards Huang Bingwen. Not good. Huang Bingwen was caught unprepared. He increased his heavy chi field to its limit and tilted his head at the same time. Swoosh! The tip of the sword was twisted by the chi field and brushed past Huang Bingwen's cheek, bringing up a stream of blood. Infinite King Kong! Yi Chen yelled. His left fist shone with a golden light, as if it was made of gold. He took the opportunity and punched towards Huang Bingwen, making an air-piercing sound. Huang Bingwen's eyes were wide open and he screamed, "Brat, I want you dead." The first one to fly out was Huang Bingwen. His heavy chi field had been broken, and his chest had been punched by Yi Chen. He felt a sweetness in his throat, and then he spat out a mouthful of blood, along with the sound of his ribs breaking. Yi Chen was also sent flying. Huang Bingwen was still able to use his fist power after being punched, and it landed on Yi Chen's left chest. However, Yi Chen had already started the pure jade body boosting spell. This fist power only made his chi and chi flow not smooth, and made his chi boil, but it had no effect at all. Yi Chen won. He is so powerful. Under the stage, everyone was shocked. They looked at Huang Bingwen, who had been defeated, and Yi Chen, who was still standing, in disbelief. Zhang Haoran sneered. He was indeed surprised. 2 months ago, Yi Chen, who he did not take seriously, had now gained the power to beat an inner disciple. But in his eyes, Huang Bingwen was nothing, because he was also a condensing reality realm warrior now, and his power had increased by more than 1-fold. Yi Chen, do you dare to take 3 punches from me? Zhang Haoran did not seem to have moved, but he had already landed on the stage, completely ignoring the distance between them. Chapter 34. Zhang Haoran did not try to hide his Jinqi. All of the inner disciples could feel the vibration of his Jinqi. Some of them were surprised. It's Jinqi. He has reached the condensing reality realm. Another genius has been born. With his natural talent, I'm afraid he'll be able to surpass us very soon. Although Zhang Haoran was a rare genius, the inner disciples did not take him seriously. After all, most of the geniuses could train very fast, but when it came to breaking through to the next level, they were not even as good as some of the disciples. Only geniuses who had reached a certain level would be taken seriously. Sigh, looks like we have to work even harder. Being surpassed by others is not a good feeling, and there are still a bunch of people above us. That's true, let's not think about the core disciples for now, but there are a few freaks among the inner disciples. They have trained their top-rank mortal realm arts to the peak of the 7th stage. How can they let others live? The higher the rank of the art, the harder it is to improve. Even if I was given a low-rank earth realm art, I would not be able to train it. While the inner disciples were still discussing, Wu Zongming walked onto the stage. Zhang Haoran, you are not the only one who has reached the condensing reality realm. Whoosh, a stream of pure qi spread out from Wu Zongming's body. The dust on the stage was blown away. Wu Zongming had also reached the condensing reality realm. A lot of people were interested. Zhang Haoran sneered. You were not my opponent when you were at the mortal realm. You are definitely not my opponent now. Wu Zongming said, let's see what you have got, Yi Chen, you go down first. Actually, he did not have any confidence in fighting against Zhang Haoran. The reason why he stood out was to let Yi Chen recover his qi. Yi Chen smiled lightly. He said to Zhang Haoran, you want to exchange 3 punches with me? I know you've consumed a lot of your inner qi. If we really fight, you'll be at a disadvantage. Now, as long as you can take 3 of my punches without being defeated, you win. What do you think? Zhang Haoran stood with his hands behind his back. His green robe fluttered even though there was no wind. Wu Zongming quickly said, Yi Chen, don't agree. You're good at swordsmanship, but he's good at kung fu. Then he turned to Zhang Haoran and shouted, Zhang Haoran, you can't be so shameless. Zhang Haoran said lightly, did I say that he wouldn't use a sword? I promise you. It's time to resolve the conflict between us. Yi Chen took a deep breath and slowly calmed his boiling blood. All right then. Wu Zongming knew that it was none of his business, so he quickly landed off the stage. On the stage, looking at Zhang Haoran, who seemed to have a card up his sleeve, Yi Chen remembered what had happened in the reception hall a month ago. One of the 4 core disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace, Lu Wuxiang, had fought against the 2nd core disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace, Luo Hanshan, with 3 punches. Now, he also had the chance to fight against someone with 3 punches. Although both of them were far weaker than the previous 2, it was still enough to make people's blood boil and feel proud. Let's start. Yi Chen did not seem to want to take out his sword. He just put his hands together. Zhang Haoran sneered and said disdainfully, "If I don't take out my sword, you won't even be able to take 2 of my moves. Do you think I'm as easy to deal with as that useless Huang Bingwen?" To be honest, when I fought against Huang Bingwen, I didn't even use my full power. Yi Chen smiled lightly. What? He is only at Mortal Realm Stage 9, and he didn't even use his full power when fighting against Huang Bingwen? Is he just trying to be mysterious, or is he just bluffing? Suddenly, the crowd of disciples started to chatter. In the crowd, Huang Bingwen's face turned pale when he heard what Yi Chen said. He said angrily, "This is ridiculous. If I didn't look down on him, this wouldn't have happened." The inner disciple next to him sighed and said, "Huang Bingwen, no matter if you admit it or not, a loss is a loss, there is nothing to say. I just can't take it anymore." Huang Bingwen clenched his fists, making a cracking sound. Hearing Yi Chen's words, Zhang Haoran laughed out loud. "All right, take my first attack, Ice Snow Universe." When he was still at stage 10 of Qi, Zhang Haoran's soaking cold palm was already extremely powerful. Now that he had reached the condensing reality realm, he was able to summon a blizzard as soon as he attacked. The entire stage was covered in layers of frost, and the frost was quickly spreading towards Yi Chen's direction. Along the way, the blizzard intertwined and moved towards Yi Chen. Chin. Yi Chen clenched his right fist, which made a metal clashing sound, and threw out a punch without any hesitation. The blizzard covered both of their figures, making it hard for the naked eye to see them clearly. Even some of the inner disciples were shocked by the power of the battle, not to mention Huang Bingwen, who had just lost to Yi Chen. How is this possible? This is only a high-rank mortal realm martial skill. Why is it so powerful in Zhang Haoran's hands? Huang Bingwen looked like he had just been shocked. Of course, Zhang Haoran did not hear Huang Bingwen's words, and even if he did, he would not care. The difference between a genius and a mediocre person was something that he would never understand. In the blizzard, Yi Chen's eyes could not see, nor could his ears hear, but with his super-sensitive senses, he could clearly see Zhang Haoran's movements and expressions without missing a single detail. Go to hell. Zhang Haoran threw out a palm attack towards Yi Chen's chest. Not necessarily. Yi Chen waited patiently and threw out a punch. Boom. The blizzard exploded, Yi Chen's fist and Zhang Haoran's palm collided. Both of them did not want to give way, and stood there motionlessly. Facing this situation, Zhang Haoran grinned. He turned his left palm into a fist, and threw out a lightning-fast punch towards Yi Chen's chest. But to his surprise, he did not know when he had also been hit, and it was also on his chest. The crowd only heard 2 clashing sounds, and the 2 people on the stage were both blown back, their bodies staggering. "Haha! My iron cloak art has already reached the highest level, you can never hurt me." Zhang Haoran patted his chest, looking like he did not care. The clothes on Yi Chen's chest had already been shattered. He looked down, and saw that his strong muscles had a jade-like luster, and was covered with a layer of frost. With a shake of his qi, the frost was quickly shattered, and fell off like crystal dust. Raising his head, Yi Chen said, "You did not hurt me either." This time, Zhang Haoran's face looked terrible. "I did not expect you to have trained a body-strengthening art as well. I have underestimated you. But with this punch, you will definitely lose." Tiger Roar, Dragon Fist. Compared to a few months ago, Zhang Haoran's mastery of the Tiger Roar, Dragon Fist, had become much more proficient. Boundless blue qi gathered around his palms, letting out waves of tiger roars. Soon after, a gorgeous light tail was drawn out as it charged towards Yi Chen, like a flying dragon soaring into the sky. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen pulled his right fist back and roared in his heart. My current strength is more than 10,000 pounds, I can even kill an elephant. Today, I will let you be the first person to experience it. Swoosh. Taking a step forward, Yi Chen's fist was more powerful than any weapon, instantly tearing the air apart, and a thin layer of qi was squeezed out in front of his fist, continuously tightening. The two fists collided, and Zhang Haoran flew out in fear, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Chapter 35. Standing in the middle of the battling platform, Yi Chen's body was like an unsheathed sharp sword. This guy is really scary. If beating Huang Binwen proved how powerful he is, then beating the genius Zhang Haoran only proves that he is a freak. That's right, it's not scary for a genius to challenge someone with a higher cultivation than him. What's scary is that the one who is defeated is also a genius, just like when someone challenged the head disciple. That's impossible. Among the younger generation of the Windy Nation, no one can challenge the head disciple. I'm just giving an example. Kneeling on the ground with one knee, Zhang Haoran held his broken right arm with his left hand and raised his head. His lips were covered in blood and slid down to his chin. He said viciously, "No one can beat me, Zhang Haoran, not even you. Yi Chen, wait for me, you have to become an inner disciple in 5 months, then I will challenge you again." Everyone shook their heads. Yi Chen could already beat you when he was only at the mortal realm stage 9. When he becomes an inner disciple, would you still have a chance? Yi Chen admired Zhang Haoran a little. Although he was arrogant and thought that no one could compete with him, his fighting spirit was amazing. He never knew when to retreat. Huang Binwen, on the other hand, was much worse. Once he lost, he would hide in the crowd. Maybe he was planning something bad behind the scenes. With this kind of personality, it would be hard for him to achieve anything great. Alright, I will give you a chance to challenge me, and in 5 months, I will definitely become an inner disciple. Facing someone with fighting spirit, Yi Chen did not say anything sarcastic. Standing up unsteadily, Zhang Haoran looked deeply at Yi Chen. You are very powerful. I, Zhang Haoran, did not feel bad losing to you. But if you want me to submit to you, that is impossible. After saying that, he walked off the stage with determination. Wow, such a proud character, not bad. The battling platform was surrounded by stands for the audience. They went up step by step until they reached a height of 6 meters. On the edge of the stage, a young man in green was waving a fan in his hand, looking relaxed. On the side, the young man with the iron sword in his arms said lightly, reaching the condensing reality realm at the age of 13, he should be in the top 5 of the Sky Cloud Martial School in the past 10 years. The green-clothed youth nodded. When he grows up, he will be our opponent. As for the other one, I'm very curious as to why he has such great strength. Even the core disciple Su Jing can't compare to him. He is nothing to worry about. After reaching the condensing reality realm, physical strength will no longer be able to determine the outcome of a battle. But his defense is a bit tricky, and I have never seen it before. Everyone has their own secret. Didn't you also obtain a sword art in the Ghost Weeping Forest? The green-clothed youth smiled and said, Let's go. We're too relaxed. The sword-wielding youth nodded and left the martial arts square with the green-robed youth. If someone saw these two, they would definitely recognize them. The sword-wielding youth was one of the top 10 inner disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School. His name was Li Kuang. His sword art could even make ghosts worry, and he was known as the Ghost Sword in the northern part of the Windy Nation. The green-clothed youth was called Pei Shaoqing, and he was ranked even higher than Li Kuang. Although he was young, he had a friendly attitude. The two had just returned from a school mission. They saw a lot of people on the martial arts square, so they came to have a look. They didn't come to watch the battle. On the way back, Wu Zongming looked at Yi Chen strangely. Yi Chen, you've improved so much. You've left me far behind. Yi Chen couldn't explain what had happened to him, so he said, improved a lot? I don't feel anything. Think about it, when you were in the Mu Rin gang, you were only at Mortal Realm Stage 6. Now you are at Mortal Realm Stage 9, and not just any ordinary Mortal Realm Stage 9. When you reach the condensing reality realm, who knows what kind of monster you will become. Maybe I've been enlightened all of a sudden. Hearing this, Wu Zongming nodded unexpectedly. You're right. Some people are mediocre in the beginning, but suddenly rise in the middle. You might be one of them. Yi Chen was speechless. As the days passed, Yi Chen was not as high profile as everyone thought he would be. Instead, he stayed in his house all day. Even when he went out, he would go to his training spot, the cliff. During this time, Zhang Haoren and Wu Zongming had officially become inner disciples. Every inner disciple had a special tag on their waist. On the back of the tag was their name. With it, they could freely enter and exit the Martial Skill Pavilion, read the top-rank Mortal Realm manuals, accept missions from the school, travel around the martial world, and build their own business and reputation. Of course, there was a certain amount of danger in the Jianghu. In the past 10 years of the Sky Cloud Martial School, countless inner disciples had died. Some were ambushed by the Jianghu, some were killed by the martial artists of the underworld, some were killed by the disciples of other martial schools, and some had completely disappeared. No one knew if they were alive or dead. Even so, the leaders of the Sky Cloud Martial School did not take any measures to reduce the number of inner disciples who died. To them, no matter how beautiful the flowers in the greenhouse were, they would not be able to withstand the wind and rain. Only by letting them travel the martial world would they be able to grow up and build a solid foundation for the future. However, Zhang Haoren and Wu Zongming did not need to do any missions for now. Within half a year of becoming an inner disciple, the leaders allowed them to focus on training their martial arts. After half a year, they would be able to use the martial world as a grindstone to train their willpower and martial arts talent. While everyone was working hard, Yi Chen worked even harder. Every day, besides training the third spell of the Pure Jade Body Boosting spell, he would train with the Soul Stones. After Yi Chen had absorbed all the Qi from the Blue Jade, he did not need to absorb the Jade Qi anymore. What he needed to do was to master the martial art, which made every inch of his body have a connection with each other. Once this connection was established, his defense would be flawless, and he would not have any weaknesses. Without a doubt, the meat of the strange fish had helped Yi Chen a lot. Otherwise, he would not be able to train the third spell of the Pure Jade Body Boosting spell to this level in such a short time. Even early condensing reality realm warriors would not be able to hurt him. Seeing that he was about to finish the meat of the strange fish, Yi Chen's strength had stopped at 12,000 pounds. Towards the end, every increase of 10 pounds of strength would be 10 times more difficult than before. It was almost the limit of his body. If he wanted to continue to increase his strength, he would have to make a breakthrough. At night, a bright moon was hanging high in the sky. The bright moonlight shone through the window, making the room look hazy. Outside the window, the shadows of the trees stuck to the ground, which added a sense of serenity to the room. Yi Chen sat on the bed with his legs crossed, holding a soul stone in each of his hands. Originally, Yi Chen did not dare to train with 2 soul stones. Although it would double the speed of increasing his qi, the huge amount of yuan qi from the soul stones would break his meridians and turn him into a useless person. However, since his body condition had been greatly improved, and the third spell of the Pure Jade Body Boosting spell was almost completed, using 1 soul stone to train was already a piece of cake. Using 2 soul stones at the same time was just right. As the huge amount of yuan qi from the soul stones turned into qi, the qi whirlpool in Yi Chen's dantian kept expanding, and finally filled up his dantian. Fortunately, the pure jade body-boosting spell could strengthen his dantian, and the meat of the strange fish had also strengthened his dantian. Otherwise, it would be very easy for him to have problems. Whoosh! The qi whirlpool suddenly shrunk by 30%, and became the same size as before. Yi Chen opened his eyes and slowly let out a breath. Finally, the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10. The condensing reality realm is even harder than I thought. In order to reach the condensing reality realm, one had to liquefy the qi into Zhen qi, which was a very difficult process. The further one advanced, the harder it would be to compress the qi, and there might even be a rebound effect. Compared to other people, Yi Chen's breakthrough was already much easier. The pure yuan art was famous for its purity, and it was easy to control. However, when it was time to break through to the condensing reality realm, Yi Chen would not be able to continue refining the yuan qi from the soul stones. No matter how pure the yuan qi was, it would still take some time to merge with the qi inside the body, which would have a huge side effect on reaching the condensing reality realm. Standing up and walking to the window, Yi Chen looked out at the night sky and said to himself, "The Yi family meeting will start in half a month, it's time to go home." Chapter 36. The distance from the Sky Cloud Martial School to the Maple Leaf City, where the Yi family lived, was about 12,000 miles. Even with 1,000 miles horse, it would take 12 days to get there. If there were any delays in the middle, half a month would be just enough. However, this world was different from the world where Yi Chen came from. 1,000 miles horse was nothing. The fastest horse in the Windy Nation was the ghost-eye jade lion, which had the bloodline of a demonic beast. It could run 3,300 miles a day. It was produced in the Devil Grassland in the east of the Windy Nation. It was extremely hard to catch and tame. Even the most common one could be sold for 100,000 gold. Although warriors could make a lot of money, only a few could afford a ghost-eye jade lion. The reason was that warriors spent money like water. For example, Yi Chen could earn 10,000 or 20,000 in 4 to 5 days. However, after he bought the pellets, he would not have much left. Especially the higher the level of the pellets, the more expensive it would be. It could even be more expensive than a ghost-eye jade lion. After asking for 1.5 months' leave from the outer master, Yi Chen hurriedly started his journey back. He was riding a cyan mane horse, which could run 1,200 miles a day, which was worth 5,000 silver. As for the dark brown horse, which could run 2,000 miles a day, it was not that he could not afford it, but he could not control it at that time. Hiya! At the foot of the mountain, Yi Chen squeezed the horse's belly with both of his legs and sped away. After the Windy Town was the closest city to the Sky Cloud Martial School, the Windy City. Walking out from the south gate of the Windy City, Yi Chen's vision suddenly widened. The sky was blue, the clouds were pure white, the wind was wild, and the land was flat. Everything was presented in front of Yi Chen's eyes. Riding on the horse at lightning speed, Yi Chen had an urge to roar into the sky. He had never thought that one day, he would be able to be like the martial artists in the martial arts novels, traveling in the martial world alone with a sword, although he was not really traveling in the martial world yet. Tat 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 tat. Nearby, a few martial artists rode over. "Little brother, let's go to the Silent Hills to hunt some demonic beasts. How about you join us?" Yi Chen had no intention of slowing down his horse. He turned his head and said, "I'm sorry, I still have something to do." What could be more important than making money? You should know that with our strength, killing a third-level demonic beast is nothing difficult for us. The leading guest of the Jianghu wore a bamboo hat and had a scar on his face. He was still trying to persuade them patiently. Yi Chen sneered, "Sorry, I will take my leave now. Go." With a shake of the reins, the cyan mane horse's speed reached its limit. "Humph, this brat is too cunning. I won't be able to scheme against him." Scar-faced man's expression was cold. Boss, why didn't you stop him just now? He's riding a cyan-bristled horse, so he must be very rich. If we did this, it would be enough for us to enjoy ourselves for half a month. Yeah. Judging from his appearance, he should be a young master of some family. The scar-faced man reprimanded, What do you know? This brat's eyes are sharp, and he has a murderous aura about him. He's definitely not a good person. Be careful not to fail miserably. After saying that, his tone changed. It's almost the end of the year. All the disciples of the small sects within 1,000 miles have returned home. There will be plenty of opportunities. Don't take your life as a joke. That's right. Boss, you have great foresight. All right, let's go. The group turned their horses around and headed back to the Windy City. Far away from them, Yi Chen sneered. These people must have thought of him as one of those arrogant martial artists who had never traveled the martial world. Once he agreed to go to the Silent Hills with them, he would definitely show his true colors as a robber and kill them for their treasures. Unfortunately, even though Yi Chen had never traveled the martial world, he had a lot of experience. It was all thanks to the dozens of wuxia novels he had read during his high school and university. Tens of thousands of miles away, a young man was also riding a cyan mane horse, running as fast as lightning. The young man was wearing a white robe, carrying a great blade on his back. He had a handsome face and looked a bit similar to Yi Chen. The Purple Sun Martial School is right in front of me. I said I would meet up with my big brother. I wonder if he is waiting for me there. The young man looked into the distance. A majestic mountain was standing there. It was faintly glowing with a light purple color. It looked majestic, and purple chi was coming from the east. After a while, the young man arrived at the foot of the mountain. Yi Tang, you are here. There were a lot of Purple Sun Martial School disciples at the foot of the mountain. They were all wearing purple robes with a fire sun embroidered on the back. One of them, a young man with big eyes and bushy eyebrows, said. The handsome young man rode his horse and walked over. Big brother, your Purple Sun Martial School is not bad. It is not like the North Snow Martial Academy, where it snows all year round. The bushy-eyebrowed young man was the eldest son of Yi Chen's eldest uncle. His name was Yi Feng, and the handsome young man was his younger brother, Yi Tang. One of them had entered the Rank 8 Purple Sun Martial School, and the other had entered the Rank 7 North Snow Martial Academy. Both of them were much more talented than Yi Chen. Yi Feng said, I would like to go to the North Snow Martial Academy, but I am not talented enough. Don't be too greedy. Yi Tang smiled and looked at Yi Feng carefully. Big brother, you have reached the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 9. Not bad. Reaching the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 9 from early Mortal Realm Stage 4 in 3 years was already considered above average. The martial school would also pay attention to such a person. How can I be compared to you? You should be at Mortal Realm Stage 10 now. Yi Feng could not see through Yi Tang, or rather, he had never seen through him. Yi Tang said with a bit of pride, I barely reached the condensing reality realm. My Zhenqi is not stable yet. You have reached the condensing reality realm? Yi Feng was shocked. Although the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10 was only one step away from the condensing reality realm, it was extremely difficult to cross the threshold. Many disciples with above-average talent had to spend more than half a year to cross the threshold and officially become an inner disciple. There was no need to show off in front of his brother, so Yi Tang changed the topic. Let's not talk about this. Speaking of the family meeting, I wonder how that trash Yi Chen is doing. Don't tell me he has not reached Mortal Realm Stage 7 yet? It is so embarrassing to be in the same family as him. Yi Feng put away his jealousy and chuckled. The more you train, the harder it is to improve. I think he might not even reach late Mortal Realm Stage 6. Let's go back and teach him a lesson, let him know how useless he is. Now that I think about it, I miss those days. There were people waiting on me every day, and I could bully Yi Chen when I was unhappy. But he was quite stubborn, he never told his parent. Humph, what's the use of telling them? Our father is an inner master of the Purple Sun Martial School. He is not afraid of Yi Chen's father, although he is the leader of the Yi family. Oh, right, is father coming home this year? Yi Feng nodded. Father said he would be a few days late, so we should go back first. I see. Then let's go back first. I think that trash Yi Chen should be leaving the Sky Cloud Martial School soon. And Yi Xian, I wonder what level she has reached? If there was one disciple in the Yi family that Yi Tang valued, it would be Yi Xian. When he was at Mid-Mortal Realm Stage 5, she was at Late Mortal Realm Stage 5, which made him depressed for a while. But now that 3 years had passed, he should be ahead of her. Yi Feng no longer expected to surpass Yi Tang, not to mention that Yi Xian was his own brother. In the future, when Yi Tang became successful, he would be proud as well. In the true spirit continent, there are very few women who can become powerful warriors. Maybe her cultivation is just at the same level as mine. Yi Tang thought it was reasonable. Let's go. All right. The two rode their horses and left. Chapter 37. Qing Yuan River, the biggest river in Luo City. It was 2,700 miles long, the widest part was 12 miles, and the narrowest part was only 2 to 3 miles. Wooden boats were crossing the river, scattered all over the place. Yi Chen stood at the front of the boat with his horse, looking into the distance. There was a magnificent city, square in shape, with a tall tower in the center, which could be seen clearly from miles away. Young warrior, are you going home to visit your family? The boatman who was paddling saw Yi Chen wearing a blue robe with a great sword on his waist. No matter how the boat moved, he could not move at all, so he couldn't help but ask. Yi Chen nodded. I haven't been home for 3 years. During the last 2 family meetings, Yi Chen did not go back, because even if he did, it would still be embarrassing. But this time was different. Even if the family did not send an announcement, he would still go back and take back his dignity. Going back is a must. Nothing is better than home. The boatman seemed to think of his wife at home, a warm smile appeared on his face, and he did not feel tired anymore. Yi Chen was actually a bit conflicted. Going home meant seeing his parents. Although he had merged with Yi Chen's soul from this world and accepted all of his feelings, he was still the one controlling the body. In other words, Yi Chen's consciousness had disappeared, and he was still himself in the 21st century. When the boat reached the shore, Yi Chen threw a whole piece of silver to the boatman. Young warrior, there is no need for this much. The boatman was dazed for a second, then he said honestly. Yi Chen waved his hand, jumped on his horse, and rushed towards Luo City. Looking at Yi Chen's back, the boatman was both envious and happy. He envied the warrior's generosity, never having to worry about money, and he was happy that 10 silvers would be able to buy a couple of beautiful clothes for his wife, and there would still be more than half left. He thought she would be very happy. Luo City. After showing the Yi family's disciple badge to the guards, Yi Chen rode his horse and flew into the city. The Yi family was located in the south of Luo City, covering 1,000 acres of land. In front of the gate, there was a pair of stone lions that were as tall as 2 people. The red gate was decorated with shiny copper nails and rings, and the guards at the gate were all dressed in bright clothes. They were obviously mortal realm warriors. Young Master Qin has returned. Hearing the sound of the horses' hooves, the servants looked over. When they saw the young man dressed in blue, their eyes lit up and they called out loudly. Young Master Qin, I'll take the reins. A servant hurriedly ran over to take the reins. After getting off the horse, Yi Chen asked, Are my parents home? The servant said, Master and mistress are both here, I've already sent someone to inform them. All right, I'll go pay my respects to them right away. After passing through the entrance, Yi Chen was led by a servant to the entrance of the main hall. Taking a deep breath, Yi Chen stepped inside. The main hall was spacious, and inside stood a man and a woman. The man was about 40 years old, his face was pale and beardless, and his body was tall. Just by standing there, he emitted an indescribable sense of majesty, making people unable to look at him directly. The woman looked like she was in her 30s. She was extremely beautiful, graceful, and had a pair of bright eyes just like Yi Chen's, and her body was just like a young girl's. These two were Yi Chen's father, Yi Tianhao, and his mother, Shen Yuqing. Father, mother. At this moment, Yi Chen naturally bowed down, as if there was an invisible force controlling him. Shen Yuqing's face was filled with excitement. She walked over and helped him up. "It's good that you're back, it's good that you're back." Yi Tianhao smiled and nodded. He was about to say something, but suddenly he was surprised. "Chenair, you've reached the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10. Is it true?" Shen Yuqing was so excited to see her son that she didn't notice anything. Looking at Yi Chen's qi again, it was so pure and powerful that it was only one step away from condensing Jin qi. If it wasn't the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10, then what else could it be? "Chenair, what's going on?" Normally, Shen Yuqing should be very happy, very happy. As an outer elder of the Rudra martial school, an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and her husband was the leader of the Yi family, she would never want her children to be weaker than others and be called trash by others. But now that her son had suddenly become a genius, she didn't know what to do. Although Yi Tianhao didn't say anything, his eyes had revealed what he was thinking. Yi Chen had already thought of what to say. He cleared his throat and said, "I don't know what happened. I suddenly realized that training is very easy, just like eating and drinking. The more complicated a lie was, the easier it was to be exposed." Yi Chen knew this. Suddenly realized? Yi Tianhao didn't understand. Shen Yuqing thought for a while, then said to her husband, "It's not like this hasn't happened before. There was a disciple in our Rudra martial school. He was just an ordinary disciple when he first joined the school, but after 1 or 2 years, he unexpectedly became smarter. He made a breakthrough in his cultivation and is now a core disciple. So, our Chenair is also a genius." Yi Tianhao didn't care about the Rudra martial school disciple. He only cared about his son. Shen Yuqing said, "To be exact, he is an acquired genius. No matter if he is an acquired genius or an innate genius, he is still a genius. Haha, my Chenair is a genius. I am so happy." Yi Tianhao laughed out loud. He was in high spirits. Seeing his parents so happy, Yi Chen said seriously, "Don't worry, from now on Yi Chen, will not be weaker than anyone else." Of course, in just 3 years, he went from early Mortal Realm Stage 2 to peak Mortal Realm Stage 10. Who dares to say that my son is weaker than anyone else? Shen Yuqing gently pushed Yi Tianhao. "I know you are happy, but Chenair came back in a hurry. Let him rest first, we will talk after dinner." "You are right, Chenair, your yard is ready. Go take a bath to get rid of your fatigue. Then I will leave now." Leaving the hall, Yi Chen followed his memory and went back to his yard. "Hello, young master." A girl in green was already waiting for him in the yard. Yi Chen smiled. "Cui Er, long time no see, you have grown up." Cui Er blushed. "Young master, you have grown up too." "Hee, you are right, is the bath water ready?" Cui Er saw that Yi Chen was still so approachable. She let out a sigh of relief and said, "It is ready, young master, this way please." In the bathroom, white steam filled the air. After letting Cui Er go out, Yi Chen took off his clothes and jumped into the tub naked. So comfortable. Moaning, Yi Chen lied down and closed his eyes. The situation was smoother than he had imagined. The most important thing was that he did not feel unfamiliar with Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing, as if they were his parents. Thinking of this, Yi Chen was deeply moved. In the 21st century, he did not know who his parents were. He was picked up from an orphanage, then went to primary school, middle school, university. Just like everyone else, there was nothing special about him. He did not expect that after coming to this world, he would also have his own parents. This kind of blood is thicker than water. It made him feel nostalgic. Chapter 38. The dinner was very rich, but of course, it was not about eating. Chenair, why didn't you go to the South Rudra Martial School? If you were there, your mother would have been able to take care of you. Shin Yuqing was an outer master of the South Rudra Martial School. Although he did not have as much power as an inner master, he could go back home often. Plus, the South Rudra Martial School was not far from Luo City, only 2 or 3 days away. Yichen said, I just wanted to live alone. Isn't it nice now? Shin Yuqing sighed. You are right. If you went to the South Rudra Martial School, you might not be able to achieve what you have now. I almost ruined you. Yi Tianhao took a sip of wine and laughed. Do you have any hope of reaching the condensing reality realm? The Sky Cloud Martial School's inner disciple ranking competition will start in a few months. Probably at the end of this month. So confident. Shin Yuqing put down his chopsticks. Yi Chen explained. I have already condensed a little bit of Zhen Qi in my body. Plus, I am training the pure Yuan art. I have already reached the peak of the 5th stage. Gasp. Yi Tianhao and Shin Yuqing gasped. Many of the martial institutions in the Windy Nation had repeated mortal realm martial art. The South Rudra Martial School also had the pure Yuan art. However, only a few people could reach the 5th stage of the pure Yuan art when they were still in the mortal realm, not to mention the peak of the 5th stage. With a bitter smile, Shin Yuqing said, Back in the day, when I was still an outer disciple of the South Rudra Martial School, I was also training the pure Yuan art, but I could only reach the peak of the 4th stage. I did not expect that my son would be even more successful than me. Yi Tianhao nodded. He finally understood how talented Yi Chen was. At least in terms of martial arts training, he was as talented as most of the other geniuses. Oh right, I have some bad news for you. Yi Tang and Yi Xian have already reached the condensing reality realm. Shin Yuqing said seriously. She didn't want to say it at first because she didn't want to hurt Yi Chen's enthusiasm. However, it was better to say it out loud so that he wouldn't have to bear a bigger contrast. Yi Chen nodded. I know about Yi Xian breaking through to the condensing reality realm, but there is one more thing you don't know. Ji Xuyan had already gone to the Sky Cloud Martial School and asked to cancel the engagement with me. Cancel the engagement. The chopsticks in Yi Tianhao's hand were broken into 2. His expression was very ugly. He snorted coldly and said, Yu Qing, I already said that this marriage is not reliable. Now the consequences are here. The marriage has been broken off in front of everyone. How do you expect Chenair to live? Shin Yuqing was stunned for a long time. When he recovered, he said, Ji Xuyan's mother and I are like sisters. I'll go and talk to her later. What are you talking about? Is there no one who likes our Chenair? Yi Chen looked calm. You don't have to worry. This incident didn't affect me. If you want to cancel the engagement, so be it. I don't plan to get married too early anyways. Shin Yuqing was a mother after all. Her son was wronged. She felt bad too. She said sarcastically, in a few years she will know that she made the wrong choice. She is wrong now. My son is already a genius. He can have all kinds of women in the future. Yi Tianhao was even more extreme than Shin Yuqing. Not wanting to continue this topic, Shin Yuqing said, Ji Xuyan, let's put this thing aside for now. Right now, the most important thing is the family meeting at the end of the year. There will be a total of 18 people from the Yi family. The top 3 will get the full support of the family, and the champion will get a low-rank storage ring. A low-rank storage ring? Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat. The mid-rank storage ring he had was too eye-catching. Not only the condensing reality realm warriors would want it, even the clasping Yuan realm warriors would want it. It was not safe at all. If he had a low-rank storage ring, he could avoid a lot of trouble. In the family meeting at the end of the year, I will be the champion. In other people's eyes, Yi Chen was very arrogant when he said this, but he did not think so. Good, very aggressive. I like it. Whether you get the champion or not, your mother and I will buy you a low-rank storage ring. Shin Yuqing nodded and said, as long as you work hard, You can have anything you want. After all, I have been an outer master of the Rudra martial school for so many years, I still have some savings. Yi Chen smiled. He was lucky to have parents like this. However, he still preferred to fight with his own hand. Of course, he could not say too much right now. He knew that his parents did not have much hope for him to get the champion. After all, the condensing reality realm and the condensing reality realm were two completely different things. After dinner, Yi Chen went back to his yard. The moonlight outside was like water. The whole Yi family was silent. Inside the house, Yi Chen sat on the bed with his legs crossed. His breathing was steady and powerful. Contrary to the quietness outside, Yi Chen's body was filled with turbulence. His qi was circulating at a speed 3 times faster than usual. And with each cycle, the qi whirlpool in Yi Chen's dantian would have an extra trace of liquid qi, gathering in the center. After an hour, Yi Chen opened his eyes and mumbled to himself tiredly, "No wonder so many people are stuck at the peak of mortal realm stage 10 for more than half a year. Converting qi into qi is too hard. No matter how talented you are, you can't do it in one day. But at this speed, I should be able to reach the condensing reality realm in 10 days. Seriously speaking, very few people could predict when they would make a breakthrough, but Yi Chen was different. His soul power was twice that of normal people, and the highest level of the pure Yuan art. His qi was also extremely pure, which allowed him to accurately predict the timing of his breakthrough with very little error, which he had already tested before. Slowly letting out a breath, Yi Chen got off the bed and went to the yard to practice his sword art. The next day, the Yi family was bustling with noise and excitement. It was not because the family meeting had started, but because the 2 geniuses of the Yi family had returned. Yi Tang and Yi Xian, not just the Yi family, even the whole Luo city knew about them. One of them had reached the early mortal realm stage 5 at the age of 12, and the other had reached the mid-mortal realm stage 5. One had joined the rank 7 martial school, the North Snow Martial Academy, and the other had joined the rank 7 martial school, the Emerald Martial Palace. It was hard to tell who was better. Besides them, Yi Feng was also quite famous, but compared to these two, he was not as famous. Besides these 3, there were many other disciples in the Yi family. Some of them had joined martial institutions a few years ago, some were training outside, and some were traveling the world with their masters. Now, they were all returning to the Yi family, preparing for the family meeting that was going to be held in a few days. For the servants of the Yi family, guessing who would get the first place was their biggest pleasure, and this year was no exception. It was said that they had secretly started a bet. The ones with the highest winning rate were obviously Yi Tang and Yi Xian. Unexpectedly, Yi Feng did not get the 3rd place, but the 5th place. The 3rd place was taken by Yi Hai, who was traveling the world with his master. The 4th place was taken by Yi Ming, who was training outside, and Yi Chen was the 18th place. Yi Chen did not know any of this, but even if he knew, he would not care. After all, the first place was not something that could be won easily, it was all about strength. Chapter 39. On the west side of the Yi family's training ground, a few people were walking and chatting. The leader of the group was a teenager about 16 or 17 years old. He was wearing a black robe, carrying a blade on his back. He had a determined look on his face, and his body was emitting a faint murderous vibe. "Brother Yi Hai, I think only you and Yi Tang and Yi Xian can compete for the first place in this year's family meeting." The teenager who was talking seemed to admire the teenager in black a lot. Yi Hai said lightly, "I was apprenticed to my master when I was 13. For the past 3 years, I have followed him around the world. I have been to the Devil Grassland in the Windy Nation, the Rudra Nation, the Black Dragon Empire with billions of people. I have fought sharks on the Changbai River, lived in the Mud Dolls Desert for a month, and did not sleep for 3 days and 3 nights without eating anything. Therefore, for me, the first place in the family meeting is nothing. As for Yi Ming, although he has also trained hard outside, He is only at Mortal Realm Stage 10, so he is not a threat. What's so great about training? You will never know the importance of a martial institution if you have never been in one. Not far away, another 3 or 4 people walked over. Yi Tang, who was wearing a white robe, looked at Yi Hai provocatively. Yi Hai glanced at Yi Tang. Indeed, the training system of the martial institutions is perfect, but in front of me, who has killed dozens of people, how much of your power can you use? Killing. I thought you were going to say something. Yi Tang laughed, pointed at Yi Hai and said, Our North Snow Martial Academy is trained in the art of killing. Although I am not talented, I have killed dozens of people. Your so-called killing is bullying people who are weaker than you, right? Have you ever challenged someone who is stronger than you? Have you ever felt like you were on the verge of death? Do you have any experience of turning defeat into victory? You have nothing, you just kill people to show off. Yi Hai's 3 questions made Yi Tang speechless. He retorted, It is useless to say anything now. We will see who is better at the family meeting. Let's go. After Yi Tang and his people left, the teenager next to Yi Hai said, Brother Yi Hai, I support you. That Yi Tang is nothing special. Yi Hai shook his head. No, seriously speaking, he is not weaker than me, maybe even stronger. The North Snow Martial Academy's art of killing is the best in the Windy Nation, no one can compete with it. But winning or losing is not just a competition of power. By the way, are there any new powerful figures in the Yi family recently? Yi Hai asked. The top 5 would be you, Yi Xian, Yi Tang, Yi Ming, and Yi Feng. The others wouldn't catch your eye. What about that Yi Chen? Yi Chen is still a piece of trash, at most Mortal Realm Stage 6. Strange, it's been 5 years and I'm still at Mortal Realm Stage 6. On average, I've improved a little more than 1 stage every year. Are you guys mistaken? How is that possible? Apart from being the patriarch's son, that guy has nothing good about him. He's really a disgrace to our Yi clan. Since there aren't any powerful disciples, I have a 60% chance of winning first place. Yi Hai was very confident in himself. He firmly believed that these 3 years of life and death tempering would be an unshakable driving force for his future development. 3 days passed in a flash. The clan meeting at the end of the year began. Early morning. After washing up, Yi Chen tidied up his clothes and walked towards the Yi family's training ground with his great steel sword. The drill ground was packed with people, and it was bustling with noise and excitement. Almost all the servants and warriors living in the Yi family had come to watch the family meeting martial arts competition. In addition, some of the big shots in Luo City had also come, taking the opportunity to observe the strength of the new generation of the Yi family. Looking around, Yi Chen found a relatively quiet contestant seat and walked over. On the VIP seats, Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were sitting next to each other. On the right side of Yi Tianhao was a middle-aged man in a luxurious robe. His body was a little fat, his every movement carried an invisible pressure. It was obvious that he was a big shot and not just any big shot. Patriarch Yi, may I ask which one is your son? The middle-aged man said with a smile. Yi Tianhao had already noticed where Yi Chen was. He pointed over and said, Mayor Lin, that is my son. Sorry for the embarrassment. The middle-aged man was none other than the mayor of the Luo city. He was in charge of the city's military, and was an early clasping Yuan realm warrior himself. However, no matter who he was, he would still be a level lower in front of Yi Tianhao. As one of the top 8 families, the Yi family was not something that a mayor could compare with. To put it bluntly, the Yi family was in charge of the Luo city. Whenever the mayor made an important decision, he would have to consider the Yi family's opinion. Mayor Lin looked at Yi Chen. He looked at him carefully and said confusedly, Looks like the rumors can't be trusted. This kid is obviously at the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10, just 1 step away from the condensing reality realm. Shen Yuqing, who was standing right next to Yi Tianhao, showed a proud smile. To be honest, even us parents are surprised. It seems like the training outside is working for him after all. Hee, this year's Yi family gathering will not be easy. I will wait and see. With his powerful soul power, Yi Chen sensed that someone was staring at him, and there was more than one of them. One was his parents and Mayor Lin, the second was his third uncle and his son, Yi Ming, and the third was Yi Hai, who had been traveling with his master. Yi Ming's cultivation was lower than his, only at the late mortal realm stage 10. Yi Hai was much more powerful, already at the early condensing reality realm. Perhaps he did not have any powerful martial skills or martial arts, but after traveling outside for so many years, he could not be underestimated. Plus, this time, his master must have taught him one or two of his trump cards, which would help him win the first place. Interesting. I knew it. How could he reach Mortal Realm Stage 6 in 5 years? He has already reached the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10. Yi Hai nodded slightly, but he did not seem to care. In his eyes, only Yi Tang and Yi Xian were his opponents. All of a sudden, a powerful aura swept across the entire field, which made everyone quiet down and look towards the east. Ha 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 ha, how could I, Yi Batian, be absent from the family gathering at the end of the year? The crowd automatically parted, and a burly middle-aged man walked over with a majestic gait. He wore a purple brocade robe, and there was a fiery sun embroidered on the sleeves of his robe. There were also exquisite patterns on the edges of the robe. A pair of tiger-like eyes glared at someone, and the people in that area even stopped breathing for fear of attracting his attention. This man was Yi Chen's eldest uncle, the inner master of the Purple Sun Martial School, Yi Batian. Next to him were Yi Tang and Yi Feng. The two walked with Yi Batian, looking quite proud and arrogant. Their eyes were almost looking down on the crowd. Although Yi Batian was not as powerful as Yi Tianhao in the Yi family, his status was not lower than Yi Tianhao's. Sometimes, Yi Batian would even go against Yi Tianhao and embarrass him. Yi Tianhao could not do anything about it. Yi Batian was an inner master of the Purple Sun Martial School, one of the most influential people in the Purple Sun Martial School. Yi Batian's cultivation was extremely high, reaching the late clasping Yuan realm. He could be called the most powerful warrior in the Yi family. Although the Yi family was one of the top 8 families, it was still far behind the rank 8 Purple Sun Martial School. Perhaps only the Duanmu family, which was the leader of the top 8 families, could compete with the Yi family. Brother Batian, I did not expect that this year's family meeting would even disturb you. Yeah, Brother Batian, you haven't been back for years, right? This year's family meeting is over, let's go have a few drinks to welcome you back. All the powerful people around started to flatter Yi Batian, even more so than Yi Tianhao, as if they were slaves. Yi Batian waved his hand. All right, I will give you face. After saying that, he walked to the VIP seats in big steps, and signaled Shen Yuqing to leave with his eyes. His eyes were full of undeniable power and dominance. Yi Tianhao had a bad look on his face. Shen Yuqing knew that the situation was not in his favor, so he stood up and said, Brother, please sit. All right, then I will do as you say. He sat down and put his palm on the table, making a muffled sound. In the distance, Yi Chen's eyes were burning with anger. Chapter 40. Recalling the past, Yi Chen finally realized why Yi Chen in this world did not tell his parents when he was being bullied. The biggest reason was because of Yi Batian. Yi Batian was extremely protective. Even if it was his own son who was in the wrong, he would protect him till the end, which would inevitably lead to a conflict with his father, Yi Tianhao. Plus, the Yi family was not just ruled by Yi Tianhao alone, there was also the Elder Council. With Yi Batian's status as an inner elder of the Purple Sun Martial School, there would be a lot of elders supporting him, which would not solve any problems. Plus, it was best for the younger generation to solve their own problems. If Yi Tianhao got involved, his reputation would definitely drop, which would be exactly what some people wanted. Yi Batian was extremely sensitive. He immediately noticed Yi Chen's gaze, as if he was surprised by his cultivation. He said to Yi Tianhao, who was standing next to him, "I haven't been back for 3 years, even a useless person has become a normal person. Too bad, he is still not in the top 3. Yi Tianhao said in a low voice, "Please be more respectful." Mayor Lin sensed the tension between the two, so he tried to be the peacemaker. "Today is the Yi family meeting, don't let the outsiders laugh at you. Brother Batian, I'll buy you a drink in a few days." Hee, how could I say no to Mayor Lin's invitation? Yi Batian did not want to have a conflict with Yi Tianhao, so he gave him a chance to step down. When the competition was about to start, Yi Xian finally arrived. She was accompanied by 2 female disciples of the Yi family. Both of them were at least mortal realm stage 7. Mayor Lin's eyes brightened when he saw Yi Xian. This girl is very talented, she is already at the peak of early condensing reality realm at such a young age. Yi Tianhao nodded. Indeed, her cultivation speed could be said to be the fastest in the history of the Yi family. Yi Wenhao has a good daughter. Mayor Lin was a bit jealous. Yi Batian felt a bit uneasy. Although his second son Yi Tang was a genius, he had only reached the early condensing reality realm 2 months ago. Obviously, he was much weaker than Yi Xian. Fortunately, she was his 4th brother's daughter, not his 2nd brother's. Thinking about this, Yi Batian glanced at Yi Tianhao. When the time was up, Yi Tianhao stood up and said in a loud voice, "The Yi family's year-end clan meeting will officially begin. Same old rules, during the competition, you are not allowed to intentionally injure others. Those who break the rules will be severely punished." After saying that, Yi Tianhao glanced at the 3rd elder on the judge's stand and nodded at him. The 3rd elder was in charge of the Yi family's activities. He cleared his throat, stood up and said, "There are a total of 18 contestants. Everyone, go to the wooden box and draw lots. The contestant who draws lot 1 will fight against contestant number 2. The contestant who draws lot 3 will fight against contestant number 4, and so on. Everyone, draw lots now." With regards to these rules, the Yi clan's disciples could not be more familiar with them. One by one, they ran to the big wooden box in the corner and stretched out their hands to take the wooden stick. Yi Chen was the last one to go, and he drew lot 7. After everyone had drawn lots, the 3rd elder yelled, "The competition begins now. Contestants 1 and 2, please come on the stage." Contestant number 1 was a disciple of the Yi clan who was not that famous. His name was Yi Chao, and his opponent was Yi Tang. "I give up." Yi Chao raised his hand in frustration. Hearing him, no one laughed at him. One was a mortal realm stage 8 warrior, and the other was an early condensing reality realm warrior. There was no need for them to compete, it would just be a waste of time. The 3rd elder stood up again before he even sat down. Contestant number 3 versus contestant number 4. Yi clan's disciples had to admit that other than Yi Xian and the other geniuses, there were still some geniuses. Contestant number 3 and contestant number 4 were both at Mortal Realm Stage 9. Neither of them were willing to give in to the other, and they were fighting in the middle of the training ground. Sunset Palm. Mountain Splitting Fist. The two did not continue to fight, they both performed their martial arts and clashed against each other. Boom. Contestant number 4 was slightly weaker after all, and was pushed back a few steps. Contestant number 3 did not stop there, and after a few attacks, he kicked his opponent away. Contestant number 3 Yi He wins. Then it was contestant number 5 and 6. The winner was contestant number 6. Contestant number 7 Yi Chen against contestant number 8 Yi Feng. Come on. The voice that had not been heard for a long time came. Yi Chen took a deep breath and slowly walked onto the stage. Yi Feng's face was very pale. He thought that Yi Chen was only at Mortal Realm Stage 6, and would not be able to threaten him at all. Who knew that Yi Chen would be so lucky to reach the peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10, which was one stage higher than him. Yi Chen, don't think that you can win just because you have a higher cultivation. My mastery of martial skills is not something you can compete with. The only thing Yi Feng was confident about was his advantage in martial skills. Otherwise, he would not have the confidence to beat Yi Chen. Yi Chen said lightly, "Are you done? Let's begin." Yi Feng's eyes flashed with anger. His huge body rushed out like a cheetah and arrived in front of Yi Chen within a few breaths. He threw out a palm attack. Burning Sun Cloud Hand. Swoosh! The air suddenly boiled, and an intense heat wave swept towards Yi Chen without mercy. King Kong Smash. Yi Chen did not need to use any tricks, he just threw out his King Kong fist, which went through the heat wave and clashed with Yi Feng's palm. Pooh! Yi Feng felt a huge force attack his body, and he was blown away, puking out a mouthful of blood. On the VIP seats, Yi Tianhao was a little surprised. He thought that the two would fight for a while, but it was only one attack, and the winner was decided. Yi Batian sneered, and his face turned green. On the contestant seats, Yi Tang sneered, "I'll let you be arrogant for a while, but don't ever meet me, or else I will make you lose all your face." Yi Xian was a little surprised. The last time she saw Yi Chen, he was only at Mortal Realm Stage 6. How did he improve so fast? Could it be that the incident with Sister Xueyan had stimulated him? Well, it made sense. But he did not have this kind of talent. Maybe he had used some kind of pellet to increase his power. The first round of the competition ended quickly. The contestants who made it to the next round were number 2 contestant Yi Tang, number 3 contestant Yi He, number 6 contestant Yi Jun, number 7 contestant Yi Chen, number 10 contestant Yi Hai, number 11 contestant Yi Ming, number 14 contestant Yi Xian, number 16 contestant Yi Jin, and number 17 contestant Yi Lin. Although Yi Chen had performed well, he did not attract too much attention. The most eye-catching contestants were obviously Yi Tang, Yi Hai, and Yi Xian. The opponents of these three had either forfeited, or were blown away by one attack. Their power was way beyond the other disciples of the Yi family. In many people's eyes, the top 3 would definitely be them. The top 3. I really don't know who will win. Mayor Lin was actually more optimistic about Yi Xian, but he could not say it out loud. Otherwise, it would make Yi Batian unhappy, and he would feel uncomfortable. Yi Batian finally showed a smile. Yi Xian is not bad, Yi Hai is also very experienced, and Tang had learned the Blizzard sword art from the North Snow Martial Academy. I wonder how much he has mastered it. As for that Yi Ming, other than his lower cultivation, he should be able to get the 4th place. As for the 5th place, it should be the number 6 contestant Yi Jun. After all, he is also a disciple of the Purple Sun Martial School. Yi Tianhao did not care about Yi Batian's words. What he cared about was Yi Chen. He did not know if Yi Chen would give him another surprise and kill Yi Batian's spirit. Chapter 41. After a 15-minute break, the second round of the competition began. Just like the first round, the second round was also a battle between 2 contestants next to each other. Yi Tang against Yi He, Yi Jun against Yi Chen, Yi Hai against Yi Ming, Yi Xian against Yi Jin. As for the number 17 contestant, Yi Lin, he could choose the remaining contestant. If he won, he would take his opponent's place. If he lost, he would be eliminated. On the field. Unexpectedly, Yi He did not give up. He said to Yi Tang in white, "I will not let you win so easily." Yi Tang sneered, "That's for the best, otherwise it would be too boring." The third elder saw that the two were ready. He yelled, "Begin!" Shoo! Almost at the same time as the third elder spoke, Yi He had already flashed out. His crouching figure did not move in a straight line, but in a random arc, like a ferocious viper hunting for its prey, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. High-rank Mortal Realm Step Art. 9 Snake Twisting Steps. Someone recognized the martial art that Yi He was using. I heard that to train the 9 snake twisting steps, one's body must be extremely flexible, and only the user knows the pain. Yi He is not easy to deal with. Indeed, Yi He is one of the top outer disciples in the Rudra martial school. Even a normal peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10 warrior would not be able to win against him. Yi Tang had just reached the condensing reality realm 2 months ago, so his Zhen Qi is not stable yet. If he could win against Yi He within 10 attacks, maybe even more. Contrary to everyone else's opinion, Yi Chen did not think Yi He would win. Although the Sky Cloud Martial School did not have the 9 snake twisting steps manual, it did not stop him from commenting. Yi He's 9 snake twisting steps seemed to be untraceable and fast, but every time he turned, there would be a moment of pause. This was because Yi Tang had not mastered it yet, and if Yi Tang still had good eyesight, he would not let go of this flaw. Just as expected. Just as Yi He was about to turn and attack again, Yi Tang moved. A white shadow flashed, and his palm was as straight as a blade. He chopped down 3 times. The first and second blows shook off Yi He's left and right arms respectively. The third blow landed heavily on Yi He's chest, making a crisp, cracking sound. In an instant, Yi He's entire body was sent flying. He fell on the ground more than 10 meters away, unable to get up for a while. This Yi Tang is really ruthless. Yi Chen could clearly hear the sound of ribs breaking. He could not help but frown. On the VIP seats, Yi Batian chuckled. Warriors should have a kind of ruthlessness, otherwise they won't be able to achieve great things. Well done. Yi Tianhao retorted, we're all family. There's no need to be so heavy-handed. Sometimes, members of the same family are not necessarily on the same side. Besides, if he loses to his own family, he will at most be bedridden for a month or 2. If he loses to an outsider, he will never wake up. If we don't let him know the cruelty of the outside world, how can he survive better? Yi Batian didn't take Yi Tianhao's words to heart. As an inner elder of the Ziyang house, he naturally had his own theories. In the midst of the commotion, the second round of the competition began. Yi Jun was just like his name, he was quite handsome. His handsomeness was different from Yi Tang's handsomeness, and it was also different from Yi Chen's handsomeness. His handsomeness was just perfect. Just by looking at his facial features, it was hard to find any flaws. Walking slowly to Yi Chen, Yi Jun said lightly, "You're going to lose." "Really?" Yi Chen smiled. Hearing him, Yi Jun's eyebrows twitched. His opponent's casual tone made him feel a little uneasy, but he quickly got rid of that thought. He had joined the Purple Sun Martial School 1 year earlier than Yi Feng, and he was already 16 years old. He had reached the mid-mortal realm stage 10, and he had always been a low-key person, so who would know that he had already surpassed Yi Feng? Everyone thought that he was still at the mortal realm stage 9. Sister Yi Xian, who do you think will win? On the side of the female contestants, Yi Xiaomei, who looked like she was only 13, asked. Yi Xian said calmly, Yi Jun has a higher chance of winning. Yi Xiaomei did not believe her, but before, Yi Chen beat Yi Feng with only 1 punch. Yi Jun can't do that, can he? Yi Jin, who was going to fight Yi Xian in the 4th round, shook her head and said, Little girl, Yi Xian is the fastest genius to reach the condensing reality realm in the history of our Yi family. She must have a point. Yi Xiaomei made a face. Did a genius' words always have to be right? Xiaomei is right. In terms of cultivation, Yi Chen is definitely stronger. But the battle is not just about cultivation. Before, Yi Chen could beat Yi Feng with only 1 punch because of his powerful qi. Next, Yi Jun will definitely not do what Yi Chen wants and fight head-on. With his experience and mastery of martial skills, he has a high chance of beating Yi Chen. Yi Xian said calmly. While the 3 of them were discussing, the 2 on the stage had already started fighting. Yi Jun let out a breath and his eyes suddenly lit up. His tightly clenched fists started to emit hot air, like 2 pieces of burning iron. His feet moved, and Yi Jun jumped 7 to 8 meters, attacking Yi Chen crazily. Burning Fire Fist? No, it should be the Purple Sun Martial School's Burning Fire Fist. It is even more powerful than the burning fire fist. Facing the incoming fist shadows, Yi Chen took them all in. He drew a half circle with both of his hands and pushed out his King Kong Infinite. Boom! A loud explosion was heard, and the dust on the ground was blown up. At the same time, a human figure jumped out of the dust. It was Yi Jun. He spread his arms like a giant bird spreading its wings, and his long and powerful legs kicked out continuously. 18 kicks of ghost fire. Puff, puff, puff. The sharp power rubbed against the air, creating a faint blue color, just like the ghost fire in the graveyard at night. Yi Batian was surprised, and then he said to Yi Tianhao proudly, "Second brother, your son is going to lose this time." The 18 kicks of ghost fire is a leg skill derived from the low-rank Earth Realm martial skill Great Sun Ghost King Kick. It is more than twice as powerful as normal top-rank Mortal Realm martial skills. In our Purple Sun martial school, only 1 out of 100 outer disciples could master it, and even the inner disciples would have to spend a lot of time to learn it. I can't believe that Yi Jun has mastered it. The winner has not been decided yet. No matter what you say, it is meaningless. Although Yi Tianhao said so, there was a hint of seriousness in his eyes. Xin Yuqing, who was sitting in another VIP seat, also had a serious look on her face. She had heard about the 18 kicks of Ghost Flame a long time ago. An inner disciple from the Rudra Martial School had gotten into a fight with an inner disciple of the Purple Sun Martial School when he was out on a mission. During the fight, the inner disciple's bones were all broken by the opponent's 18 kicks of Ghost Flame. He didn't even have the power to fight back, and since then, he had been disabled. "Chen don't force yourself," Xin Yuqing murmured. Yi Chen did not know what his parents were worried about. For him, this 18 kicks of ghost fire was indeed powerful, but it was impossible for it to hurt him. He just did not want to reveal all of his power yet, and he even wanted to save half of his power. After all, this was his ace card, and the fewer people who knew about it, the better. Let's try to break it up first. Yi Chen stepped back in a regular pattern and used both of his fists to block, or to meet the incoming attacks with brute force, or to counterattack with brute force. Chapter 42. The King Kong fist seemed to come alive in Yi Chen's hands. It was able to block all of Yi Jun's kicks. Hard and soft as one, yin and yang, this is the highest level of hard and fierce fist arts. Mayor Lin gasped. He had lived for so many years and had seen countless geniuses, but very few of them could reach Yi Chen's level in terms of martial arts. Yi Jun's face darkened. He had already thrown out 11 kicks, but still could not hurt Yi Chen at all. Yi Chen's strength was beyond his expectation. 4 swirling ghost fire. 3 kills. The next 7 kicks could be combined into 2 special attacks. Yi Jun used all of his chi and threw out a deadly attack towards Yi Chen. Right then, Yi Chen felt that he did not have enough martial skills. Excluding his sword arts, he only had 1 high-rank Mortal Realm skill, the King Kong Fist, and the Tyrant Fist, which was way too powerful. With his current level, it would be extremely hard for him to train it, and it might even hurt him. Before I go back, I have to reach the condensing reality realm. Once I become an inner disciple, I will be able to get as many top-rank Mortal Realm skills as I want. At least I won't be in such an awkward situation like now. Facing the dangerous situation, Yi Chen smiled bitterly. He increased his power to 30% of his peak and threw out 7 punches. Boom, 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 boom. Clouds of chi exploded in the field, blowing Yi Chen back a couple of steps. He felt like he was floating on the ground. Looking up, he saw Yi Jun in purple robes like a kite with a broken string, drawing a beautiful arc in the air before landing at the edge of the crowd. Good, did I win beautifully? Only now did Yi Tianhao let out a breath of relief. He exchanged a look with Xin Yuqing and smiled. Yi Batian, who was standing on the side, laughed dryly. He looked at Yi Tang, hoping that his favorite son could help him. On the other side, Yi Xiaomei laughed heartlessly. I knew it. Yi Chen will win. Hearing this, Yi Qian frowned. In that instant, she clearly felt that Yi Chen's strength had doubled, or else he wouldn't have been able to defeat Yi Jun so easily. Yi Chen wins. The third match, Yi Hai versus Yi Ming. Although the third elder was a little surprised, he didn't think much of it. After all, Yi Chen's cultivation was higher than Yi Jun's, so it was only natural that he would win. The battle between Yi Hai and Yi Ming was very intense. Moreover, both of them had the same style. Every move and every technique was ruthless and decisive. They were not sloppy at all. Most of the time, it made people think that they had a grudge against each other and wanted to kill each other even if they had to risk their lives. Yi Ming, if you want to blame someone, blame it on your low cultivation base. Finally, Yi Hai unleashed the strength that he should have. He sent Yi Ming, who was fighting like a cornered beast, flying with 2 consecutive palm strikes. Yi Hai wins. The fourth battle, Yi Qian versus Yi Jin. In the crowd, Yi Jin thought about it and raised his hand. I give up. The third elder nodded and said to the last contestant, Yi Lin, now, you can choose your opponent. If you win, you can replace him. If you lose, you will be eliminated. Yi Lin looked at Yi Qian, Yi Tang and Yi Hai and shook his head. He then looked at Yi Chen and shook his head again. Third elder, I give up. He knew that he would not be able to win against the first 3. As for Yi Chen, although he was not a condensing reality realm warrior, but judging from his previous 2 battles, he knew that he would not be able to win against anyone who was below the condensing reality realm. So, why bother humiliating himself? He might as well just give up. At this point, he no longer cared about the top 3. Alright. Now there are 4 people left. They are Yi Tang, Yi Chen, Yi Hai and Yi Qian. The first battle will be Yi Tang versus Yi Chen, and the second battle will be Yi Hai versus Yi Qian. The winner will enter the finals and fight against the other winner for the first place of the Yi family gathering. After that, there will be battles for the second and third place. Do you have any objections? The third elder glanced at the 4 people. Including Yi Chen, the 4 people shook their heads. The third elder then said, if that is the case, why don't you all rest for 15 minutes and try to recover your lost Jinqi, just in case you run out of Jinqi. After he finished talking, he sat down and started to drink from his teacup. In the field, only 4 people looked at each other. More accurately, it was Yi Tang, Yi Hai and Yi Qian who looked at each other. Only Yi Tang glanced at Yi Chen for some reason, as if he was telling him that he was going to get it later. The other 2 almost ignored Yi Chen. After all, they were fighting for the first place, and with Yi Chen's peak of Mortal Realm Stage 10 cultivation, he would not be able to interfere. Yi Chen smiled indifferently and went back to his seat to rest. Yi Qian, until now you have only used 30% of your power. Am I right? Yi Hai had already considered Yi Qian as his biggest opponent, so he tried to test her. Yi Qian flicked the hair in front of her forehead and said lightly, besides you 2, no one else has the right to make me use more than 60% of my power. More than 60%? Don't flatter yourself. After I defeat Yi Chen, I will show you the Northern Snow Martial Academy's Blizzard Sword Art. Yi Tang sneered. Yi Qian turned around and walked back to her seat, leaving behind a sentence. I have seen a lot of geniuses in the Emerald Martial Palace, such as the head disciple Young Master Emerald, the second disciple Absolute Palm Lu Wuxiang, and the third disciple Shirpatian. Compared to them, you are just a mid-level genius. You do not have the power to challenge those with higher cultivation levels. So, against me you will definitely lose. The finals had not started yet, but Yi Hai could already feel the tension in the air. He was breathing heavily. Up until now, he was not only fighting for the first place, he was also fighting for the sake of fighting. After all, they were all geniuses, but a winner had to be decided. 15 minutes passed quickly. Without the third elder's notice, Yi Chen and Yi Tang had already come to the center of the field and stood 10 meters away from each other. Stop the useless struggle. You are definitely not my opponent. After I beat you, I will still have to beat Yi Xian and Yi Hai. Yi Tang could not wait to fight against Yi Xian. He was not interested in Yi Chen anymore. He just wanted to finish the battle as soon as possible. Yi Chen said, "Being impatient is the biggest taboo for a warrior. You have already lost. Cut the bullshit and lose." Yi Tang activated his Zhen Qi. His white robe fluttered in the air even though there was no wind. A white cold air appeared around his body, causing the temperature to drop drastically. He stomped on the ground and jumped out like a bird. Countless hand blades were thrown towards Yi Chen. 1,000 mountains full of snow. This was a blade attack, but Yi Tang had turned it into a hand blade attack. Although it was not as powerful as before, it was more than enough to deal with warriors below the condensing reality realm. Shoo! Shoo! The air was sliced open instantly. Layers of white hand blades appeared, covering the entire field. Break! His power had been increased to more than 60%. Yi Chen did not back off. He threw out both of his fists continuously. It was like hundreds of arrows shooting out at the same time, like a raging river. It clashed violently against the countless hand blades. All of a sudden, the sound of air exploding could be heard everywhere. The explosions created a strong wind current in the middle of the field, which could easily blow away a fierce tiger. Chapter 43. Yi Tang's expression changed. How is this possible? Although my hand blade's power is not even half of my blade's power, it is still not something a mortal realm warrior can handle. What he did not know was that Yi Chen's physical strength had already exceeded 12,000 pounds. 60% would be more than 7,000 pounds, which was equivalent to the power of 2 or 3 buffaloes running at full speed. Controlling crane capturing hand. Yi Tang's attack changed, his clothes fluttered in the wind. While he was flying, his right hand's 5 fingers were like iron hooks, aiming at Yi Chen's shoulder. At that moment, Yi Chen felt like he was being targeted by a ferocious beast. He knew that he could not let his opponent lock him down, otherwise, even if he did not get hurt, he would lose control. Shoo! Activating the golden swallow art, Yi Chen's body floated into the air, leaving only a faint shadow where he was standing. Yi Tang tore apart the shadow to vent his anger. He looked up, and suddenly a dot appeared in front of him. It was the sword light. The sharp sword light. It was almost in front of Yi Tang as soon as it appeared. Ah! Yi Tang did not expect his opponent to still have enough energy to fight back, and the first attack was so fast that he could not dodge it. Break it! Yi Tang yelled. His right hand was as white as jade. His 2 fingers clamped together, trying to stop Yi Chen's attack and break the great steel sword. Yi Chen sneered, "In your dreams." The great steel sword's momentum was unstable, like the moon in the water. The sword light spread out and pointed at Yi Chen a few times. Shoo! A bloody hole appeared on Yi Tang's finger, which was filled with Zhen Qi. Thin blood sputtered out, but it was completely shattered by the sword light, turning into nothingness. Tang Er's freezing ice finger was broken. Yi Beishan's face suddenly changed. He could not believe his eyes. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing were also shocked. Although they knew that Yi Chen was very powerful, but how could he be this powerful? Was he really going to beat Yi Tang? Not good. Yi Tang took a few steps back and pulled out a treasured saber from his back. The saber was 4 feet and 1 inch long and 2 inches and 6 feet wide. Its blade was smooth and shiny, and its whole body was suffused with a chilling yin qi, which proved that this was not an ordinary saber used by ordinary people, but a rare saber, a saber for killing. In fact, this blade was called the Vibrant Snow Blade in the North Snow Martial Academy, and only the inner disciples were allowed to use it. Great Snowfall! As soon as the colorful snow saber appeared in his hand, Yi Tang's aura surged. With a wave of his hand, the saber lights that filled the sky rushed towards Yi Chen's position, as if the winter snow had arrived early. Yi Chen gripped his sword with both hands and swung it vigorously. All of the saber lights that were spreading over were shattered, and could not advance an inch. This showed how fast and precise Yi Chen's sword swings were. Adding insult to injury, Yi Tang was unforgiving after gaining the upper hand. His saber light contained a threatening frost chi that easily froze the moisture in the air. It was as if he wanted to freeze the entire place. Crack, 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 crack. Just as Yi Chen was about to make a move, cold air suddenly rose from the ground. A thin layer of frost covered the ground, with Yi Tang as the center, forming a semicircle of snow. Retreat. Yi Chen took back his sword aura, tapped his feet on the ground, and his body flew backwards. Yi Chen, it is not bad for you to exchange so many attacks with me. Unfortunately, you are still going to lose. Proud Snow Frost. Yi Tang gripped his saber with both hands and swung it downwards. Chin. The colorful snow blade released a 5-meter-long saber light that sliced through the air, bringing with it an unstoppable aura. It seemed like it was going to cut Yi Chen in half in the next second. Chener, watch out. Shin Yuqing was worried about his son, so he stood up and prepared to help. Yi Batian sneered and pressed his right hand in the air, blocking Shin Yuqing's movement, making it impossible for him to move. Sister, we are in the middle of the competition. Don't be presumptuous. Yi Tianhao couldn't take it anymore. Waves of qi exploded from his body, and he stepped forward with his right foot. The entire VIP stand was blown away and shattered into pieces. The battle was about to start. Guys, wait, the situation has changed. City Lord Lin hurriedly used his qi to protect himself and said to Yi Batian and the other two. Hearing this, the three's attention returned to the battlefield. Yi Tang's saber light cut the air into pieces, and the shockwave left a 3-inch deep mark on the ground. This time, Yi Chen is going to lose, and he might even die. Almost everyone was thinking the same thing. Facing this horrifying saber light, Yi Chen's body shook, and the blood in his body made a rumbling sound. His aura suddenly increased, like an ancient god. Destroy! Shouting, Yi Chen's body didn't move, but his left hand formed a fist and punched out. Crack, 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 crack. The saber light exploded into pieces in the air, and it didn't do anything. What is going on? How can he be so powerful? Yi Xian suddenly stood up and said in disbelief. Yi Hai's face was also very serious as he stared at Yi Chen. Yi Tang's eyes popped out and his movements froze. Mountain collapse. Yi Chen's eyes were as sharp as swords. He leapt forward and arrived 3 steps away from Yi Tang. His great steel sword was placed on Yi Tang's neck. You lost, Yi Chen said lightly. Yi Tang came back to his senses, and he couldn't accept the reality in front of him. His eyes were bloodshot. Impossible, I didn't lose. Die. The colorful snow blade in his hand turned, and he was about to attack. Yi Chen was a little angry. He swung his left hand and slapped away the colorful snow blade in Yi Tang's hand. Then, he stepped forward and knocked away Yi Tang's body. Wretch! Puking out a mouthful of blood, Yi Tang fell 10 steps away. Yi Chen won. He actually won. I can't believe that even Yi Tang, who had reached the condensing reality realm, couldn't compete with Yi Chen. How powerful is he? It seems like the first place is going to be very difficult. Indeed, Yi Tang is one of the top 2 geniuses of the Yi family, and he is also a disciple of the North Snow Martial Academy. His power is even more powerful than the older generation of early condensing reality realm warriors. But he still lost to Yi Chen. This is really unexpected. If Yi Chen also reached the condensing reality realm, how powerful would he be? He would definitely be able to defeat all the early condensing reality realm warriors. Even mid-condensing reality realm warriors might not be able to win against him. A cross-realm battle, this is the legendary cross-realm battle. So it is true. The whole place started to boil like boiling water. Seeing Yi Chen beat Yi Tang, no one would think that he did not have the right to be the champion of the family meeting. If there was, then that person must be crazy or blind and could not see the truth. Yi Xian still could not sit down. She remembered that a few months ago, Yi Chen was only a mortal realm stage 6 warrior. But now, he had the power to challenge her. It made her feel a little uncomfortable and depressed. She could not explain it with words. If she had to explain it, then it would be that the difference was too big. Bastard, all of you shut up! Hearing the crowd's discussion, Yi Batian let out a roar from the messy VIP seating. His violent chi spread out like a raging river. All of a sudden, the crowd was thrown into chaos. Yi Tianhao saw this and shouted angrily, "Yi Batian, what are you doing?